All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the College Breakdown Show. I'm your host, Ray Cruz, and I'm about to bring on my co-host, Dre Montez. So, how you doing, Dre?
Hey, what's going on, big man? How we doing?
We're doing good, man. How's your week been going?
I had a pretty good week, man. This is the first 4 weeks since I started back podcast and live streaming, so it went very good, very good. It felt good to get back into the swing of things, so to speak. How about you? How was your week?
My week was good. Didn't really too much except Uber around Jacksonville, making some of that moolah, the cash. It's hot.
A little rainy here lately.
Yeah, it's hot here in Jacksonville. You got people walking around with their shirts off, look like they're into the back of fields,
My type of weather, my type of people, take the shirt off people.
Yeah. So, it was pretty good. Me and my wife went down to Walmart yesterday and fiddle around in there. Sometimes we get in there, we just get lost and look at all the stuff that they put in. And Walmart here, they got stuff all in the aisle, so you got to walk around everybody, So, and then you got people coming down the aisles and stuff, so it gets really cramped in there.
The Wally World is always interesting. I don't care what time of day you go there, you're always going to see something that make you feel like you're okay in your situation, whatever it may be. Something in Walmart is going to make you feel much better than whatever's going on in your life. Something in Walmart always does that.
Yeah, that's something. There's always something strange. And here in Jacksonville, you got people walking around. The next thing you know, they'll be asking for money right inside the store now. They don't do it outside.
Yeah. They have a routine now. St. Louis is no better. We get some of the best ever at our Walmarts here between Missouri and Illinois. I'm kind of close to Illinois as well. So, yeah, get some characters for sure. Great content out there in Walmart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can do a whole comedy show in Walmart. But yeah, so, we're gonna get the show started here. We're gonna do the Pac-12, the Big 12, and the Big 10 preview of football today and stuff like that. But before we get into that, I want to go and show you here some interesting stuff here from the AP poll here for their rankings. So it's coming down the bottom. That's our ASAP rankings right there. That's what we did last week. But then I want to go through. Let me see if I can check. Yeah, let's see. This is the one I wanted to see. This right here is it's the AP top 25, but they just went off the last year ranking for their start. So that's how the AP did it, and I think it's pretty good because that's what the teams finished last year. It don't mean they're gonna be all the same this year. So and then ESPN did this. They did theirs a little bit different. Put Georgia at number 3 and USC is at number 4. We're gonna get into that here in momentarily. We're gonna talk about USC and Lincoln Riley. Is that just the ranking for USC? Is that just because of Lincoln Riley is there now?
Could be a little bit of both. Could be a little bit of both for them.
So, yeah, we're gonna let that scroll through here. We'll let you look at that while we talk about this thing here, and we want to start off with the Pac-12, and we're gonna start off with the Arizona Wildcats with last year's regular head coach Jedd Fisch is in the second season, 1-11 last year, 2-12 overall. The 2021 record overall was 1-11. Conference is 1-8. So, what do you expect Jedd Fisch to turn this program around this year a little bit better because he got some of his recruits coming in now?
With Arizona, you say?
Yeah, Arizona Wildcats.
Arizona Wildcats, they're a good 4-5 win team to me. Their recruiting has not been the best in the past few years. So I give them a little bit more of a benefit of doubt out there in the Pac-12. But occasionally, those 4 or 5 wins usually come at a pivotal time where it could come in a situation to prevent somebody from possibly going into a bowl game or a team that's trying to get a winning streak going at a start.
Yeah, true. That's true. That and they went into this is what's interesting about college football now. You have NFL free agency. We got college ball portal talk here. So Arizona went into the transfer portal and they loaded up on fantastic recruiting class. Now, far better starting 22 is not time to think Pac-12 championship yet, but fans based on that. So now college football teams in Arizona and all them, these teams that are like lacklusters last year going into the transfer portal and getting some of these other players that are transferring out that probably want playing time or think they're a whole lot better than they think they're in the starting roles and go to like the Arizona teams. So how does teams try to hold on to their players now? Like that's Arizona.
They're taking advantage of something that the NBA doing as well. They're playing buddy ball. They're getting a little bit more together with people that they know, so they're not having that struggle problem when they go into a new college or university program. They know somebody in the program, they fit in better, it makes the chemistry a little bit better. It takes away that nervousness that a lot of players deal with when they go somewhere new and leaving home for the very first time. But you go somewhere, you recognize somebody, whether it be a coach or a player, you're ready to get down. You're like, okay, relax. I'm around somebody I know. You're getting comfortable versus going somewhere you don't know a soul and you got to prove yourself. Because everybody with these big programs nowadays is some type of All-American in their hometown. And you go with a school full of people like that, it's pretty hard to stand out. But if you go there and you know somebody, you feel a whole lot better. It's like the days when we went to camp as kids. It made camp a whole lot better when you knew somebody at the camp. It took away from that awkward conversation because you knew somebody there. And then that helped you make more and more friends. Now it made camp a little bit more fun. So that's where we're at right now in college football with the transfer portal. They just want to be somewhere and go somewhere where they can shine and feel a bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I agree with you there too in the stuff. So, but I mean, COVID and all that still hit. Back in 2020, it hurt some of these football teams and their revenue and stuff like that. So, do you see Arizona making any kind of steps up for that 4-5 record? Adding probably about 3 or 4 wins to their win total last year. What do you think, Jedd Fisch as a head coach? I mean, his stint in the NFL didn't work too good. This is his second stint in college football. He was at Michigan, and now he's at this Arizona. So, do you think Arizona made the right hire with Jedd Fisch?
That's what needs to be decided right there because of the reputation that he had with the NFL. But I think when coaches leave the NFL, whether it's under controversy, whether they were iffy, they still were at that level. They can offer these kids a little insight on what's coming next, what it really takes to get there. But now with the transfer portal, you now have NIL as well. And that's a learning experience for everybody that's involved with that, as well as the coaches and the players. So if you know how to – if your players are getting other guys to transfer there, that's awesome. But if you also have a good NIL situation with any team that we're going to talk about today, and you're having that struggle bus problem with recruiting, that's where that NIL deal can come in and help you out as well. And also having that little NFL experience, you can tell these kids what's on the other side of the game other than playing football.
Yeah, I agree with you too. And what we're going to talk about here, what team, Arizona only won 1 game last year in the Pac-12. They only beat the completed California team. What team do you see? Do you see their record staying at that 1-8 mark, or do you see them competing against like a team like UCLA, Washington, Colorado for that towards that middle of the pack teams?
I don't see. I'm looking at this Pac-12 now. I don't see where they could possibly even get 3 wins. Just looking in the conference itself. I mean, because you have Arizona State, who's gotten better since Herm Edwards has been there each and every year. You already mentioned what Cal is possibly full of doing. We know what Colorado is all about. That could be a possible win situation there. Oregon and Oregon State, that's not going to happen at all. Stanford, UCLA, USC, no way possible. You can possibly squeak one out with Utah, Washington, the Huskies or the Washington State. I just don't see it. I could possibly see 2 wins. 3, that's going to be tough. Now, unless they get one of those lucky out-of-conference games, a couple of those, a little makeup, a little attaboys, a little help me along the way. Do you know who I am? Head coach type thing. Then that way, yeah. But I don't see anything past 4 wins coming with this Arizona football team.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their, top 10 players right now. At number 10, they came in with the defensive Hunter Echo Sr. He's 6'5", 245 pound. USC transfer, 50 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 4 total loss. Do you see him helping out that defensive side?
I was just thinking, if his defensive intuition steps in like the way it should, having younger players a little bit more coachable now as opposed to older players, he can get his message across if he talks to the right defensive person and get that message across quick and early and start that winning formula. Start that manja going. You know how it starts early in college football. We built a winning program built off of something that started in practice or something the coach said. Whoever gets in to come in and talk to the kids who believe in his defensive style of coaching. That's what it's going to take.
Yeah, and that too is a opinion. But what interests me in this whole list is this number 4 guy, Jaden D. Lauer, the sophomore, 6 foot, 186. He's a Washington State transfer. They hit the transfer portal pretty hard. They grabbed some of their top 10 players they have on the team. He was 305 out of 488, 63%. With the Cougars, he had 3,684 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions, and he rushed for 101 yards with 5 touchdowns. Now, do you see him coming in and taking over that starting quarterback position?
I like those stats you put up like that, where as you can tell by those stats, he's not a running quarterback. That's a good thing. I mean, he likes to stay in the pocket and try to pick his poison that way. I guess we'll see the first couple of weeks on how the offense is looking as opposed to the defense as well. Now, if the chemistry is right, you go with your gut feeling. But we know in college football, that's not always the case. These guys want to get somebody who can make it pop, get the team in a nice rhythm, and put points on the board.
Yeah, I agree with you too. But another one is he's going to have a person to throw to, and Jacob Cowan Jr. He's the 5'11", 170 pounds. UTEP transfer, was a big time player maker for an offense that didn't have a whole lot of pop. But the All Conference USA star is a good prospect. Averaged over 18 yards per catch in 3 seasons with the Miners, catching 141 passes for 2,595 yards and 13 touchdowns. Do you see him coming in and having that 1-2 tandem to probably put this offense over top? Is he really going to be a Power 5 type player?
I like that size, that 5'11". That means he has speed. He can get down the field and possibly get in between the defense and hide behind a few players. Those 5'11" guys have been bursting onto the scene lately, that 5'11" to 6'1" frame tile receiver, whether they're playing the slot on the outside. I don't know, man. That's a tough one because, a lot of college teams now on the defensive side have been looking at the same thing that we have been seeing offensively, how to stop that from happening. Move that defense a little bit more, get some speed on that defensive side. But that 5'11" size is fun to watch. It's fun to watch. I guess we will see what the Pac-12 is going to do.
Let's move on down the street here from Arizona. If it's down the street, up the street, whatever, up the state, whatever. We're going to go to the Arizona State Sun Devils. So Herm Edwards, your man. Well, I like Herm Edwards too. I mean, he's pretty good at what he does, and was a good football player in his time. So now we got Herm Edwards. What does let's look at what he had done. He was 25-18, 2021. Overall, that's his head coaching stat is 25-18. The overall in 2021 record was 8-5, conference 6-3. So now he has 6 wins, 3 losses in conference, 8-5. Where do we see the Sun Devils going now? Is he still going up, or is he going to go down this year?
I think the only way for this program is to go up. They've done that each and every year since he's been there. And I like the first year he got there, how he really talked about, I want to see what these guys have before I get too critical moving ahead and moving forward, because these are not my guys. Let me see what I have here. And each year the program is getting better and better. They're making improvements. It started with the quarterback play, not making the right decision when they're under stress, under duress. the defensive side, jumping too fast, a lot of penalties. Taking a W away from the game when you have it, but making the bad judgment calls on defense. And he talked about that a lot last year, how the defense really turned it around. They matured a lot. They're understanding the game, and they're understanding his coaching philosophy, and they're really implementing it into their program, and it's showing. I can see them possibly being a 10-win season this year.
Yeah, I agree with you too, but something interesting, this offense only averaged 386 yards and 28 points per game. The passing attack wasn't very explosive. So what do you see? Do you have to get that explosive passing attack going and then complement it with the run? Do he need to start with the run and complement with the pass? How does he get that offense into like a juggernaut? Because he's going to have it this year because Lincoln Riley's in that conference now. He's the offensive mind. USC's got some firepower. So how does he compete with Lincoln Riley and USC tandem?
See, I think that's one thing that has stood out with Herm Edwards throughout his whole coaching tenure. He does not try to fit in. He gets them to believe in what he is doing. And if we do this, we're going to win. And now if it calls for us to throw the ball and get 400 yards of offense out of this passing game, okay, we'll do that. But if it doesn't cause for us to do that, why is there such a need to do what this school is doing or that program is doing? Let's work on our program. And if we can put up points on the board and get a W, I think that's a nice coaching philosophy to have. I don't think everybody wants to try to light up the scoreboard the way certain programs are known to do and prone to do, and that's all they do is light up the scoreboard each and every week and each and every season. But where's that get them? Is it getting them closer to the pinnacle top of getting in the college playoff system or getting to a pivotal bowl game for their program or just building a winning program? A whole lot of things are involved, but I think what Herm Edwards is doing with his team is trying to believe in his formula and just show that this works what I'm doing. And if you keep doing what I tell you to do and how it's done, we'll get some quality wins, man. Quality wins.
I agree with you, too. And very interesting stuff on offense. He went out and got an Alabama transfer, Paul Tyson. Florida transfer, Emory Jones, right? Might not be the Daniels, but they can play. Jones is a veteran who played in through some big-time SEC games. So, Florida Gator, talk about Emory Jones and his fit in with this Herm Edwards offense.
That's the thing. Coming out of a lot of kids that transferred from Alabama and they go somewhere else, I think the type of program that Alabama has allows these kids to go somewhere else and be very coachable because of the coaching program that they come out of. They're very versatile. They can fit in anywhere due to all the coaches and the coaching style that is in the Alabama football program. I think it can be something learned from these guys that come from the Alabama program, not to help you win, but it's just the style of coaching and how the feedback goes in that program. So I think that's where the help comes from. I think it's going to be more of a teach-back moment more than a teaching moment for the transfer.
I agree with you, too. And you talking about these transfers and stuff playing in big-time schools and going around. Most of the time, these transfers are the team players there are on the third or fourth string. But right. Emory Jones is the one that was actually helped started a few games for Florida and stuff like that. And won some couple key games in his career there. But he was not that stellar quarterback that Florida was looking for. So now with the transition into Herm Edwards, can Herm Edwards get what he needs out of Emory Jones?
That's the thing. See, with Emory in the Florida program, he was panicking a little bit too much to me. He didn't let the play develop. He was anticipating so many things with the ball. He was giving it away sometimes with his body motion. Now, if he can learn from that mistake and still use his talent he's a decent quarterback. He's a damn good quarterback. I like his skill set, but I don't like his judgment in the red zone in particular. He was just a little bit too quick to get rid of the ball, was not letting the play develop.
I agree with you there too. But if we're looking at this too now, the running game is going to be a little bit stellar with Emory Jones back there because Emory Jones alone had 759 yards last year for the Gators. But they also went out and got they losing the White, and his hard running style is hardly a plus. But Wyoming transfer Xavier Valdez is a great talent who should go off also. So now are we looking at a two-headed quarterback position here? But what I mean by this two-headed quarterback, Both these guys can run. The Wyoming quarterback can run that transfer, and Emory Jones can run. So when they game plan, you can't game plan for the same. You can't game plan for two different quarterbacks. They're the same quarterback. So the offense doesn't lose a thing, but it might gain some speed in Emory Jones. Back there, Valdez not as fast as Emory Jones.
Yeah, Emory Jones has some speed, and he has a cannon too. He can swing it. He kind of reminds me of a young, the kid that came out of Vatek, that was with the Chargers, had the blood clot, almost died.
Oh, you're talking about Taylor?
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor.
He reminds me of Tyrod Taylor, his throwing style. Now, he is quick. He's very, very fast. He has the edge to me if the decision-making with the ball gets a whole lot better. That's the thing. That is the big thing. Herm Edwards doesn't like the mistakes you should know about. You can prevent that from happening, young man, if you do this. You cannot rush the play. You got to let the play develop. I like Emory Jones in this offense if it goes his way. I really do. I think he can really help that type of program. And Herm Edwards is the type of coach that can really help his future at the quarterback position if he wants to take this seriously and get in position to change his game, whether he's going to be a mobile quarterback or try to be a little bit more pocket passing situation.
Yeah, and let's talk about a little bit on the defensive side. The pass defense picked off 16 passes last year, among the best in the Pac-12. But they did reload with going into the transfer portal. You hear that key theme, the transfer portal here. They went out and got a Hawaii transfer, Kieran Bethany. He lead the way with the helping coming in with the boost up in the corner position. So now that defense is going to be stellar like it was last year, picking off 16 passes.
I was just about to say, I think they got a transfer from Hawaii that I really like. This kid is exciting. He has that energy. He has that excitement for the game. Very football high IQ, very high. Exciting kid, good talent. He's the type of addition to a team that people can rally around. They can get excited with him being in the game on the sideline as well. I think it's going to be a very fun defense to watch.
I agree with you too. How about they got a good tackling linebacker, Marlon Robertson. Only seems to like he's been around the ball since the Frank Kusha era. So now you're talking about the linebacker here. This linebacker's been all over the ball. Do you see him still being the ball hog, or are they going to or is he going to find himself getting double teamed as the plays go on?
I think this is the kid that Herm Edwards is proud of. This kid has made a tremendous change since he's been there. His skill set has gotten a whole lot better. His understanding of his position and the game has gotten better. I can see this kid possibly win one of the elite defensive linebacker awards. His game has improved that much. They may need to double team him. They may. In some games, they may double team him for sure. But that still opens up for the other side too as well. So it's going to be a whole lot of things here with this defense at Arizona State, with the Arizona Sun Devils this year. They're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you too. There, they got some good thing. He's number 2 of the top 10. Now, this is fascinating. Their top 10 players are: number 1 is the running back Xavier Valdez Sr., and then their quarterback at number 3 is Emory Jones Sr., and then you got Robertson, the linebacker, at number 2. That's very interesting. You see a defensive player come in at number 2 spot in their top 10, but he's one of the best. So he has a duo too at number 5, the linebacker Kalis Soley Sr. He's 6'3", 235, 147 tackles, 4 sacks, 13 total tackles for loss, 2 interceptions in his 4 years. So now he comes in at number 5. Now let's look at the number 2 guy. Like I said, Robertson is 6'3", 240 pounds, 124 career tackles, 7 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss, 6 interceptions in his 4 years. So that's a tandem right there. So, are they probably one of the best linebacker duos in college football this year?
Shake and bake. I can see it. They vibe off each other, man. I think they both almost had a pick 6 last year, but they both got those mitten hands and missed it. They vibe off each other. They're a very exciting defense. I like this program, Arizona State. Sorry, Florida, but I like a team other than you.
That's surprising, talking about your Florida Gators like that. I mean, you are one. We are, one.
Still rep.
Yeah. So now let's talk about Arizona State. Who they were 8-3. Do you see them picking up at least 2 more wins and going into 10-2?
Yeah,
this year?
I got them winning 10 games this year. I can see them winning 10 games easily.
Now, is this USC and Herm Edwards and Lincoln Riley? Herm Edwards a little bit good on defensive coach, and Lincoln Riley the offensive thing. That USC and Arizona game is going to be interesting this year.
Very, very, very interesting. That's going to be a must-see game because are we on USC yet? Or are we still in Arizona?
No, we about to go to Colorado.
Okay, all right. That's going to be a very exciting game. Very exciting game to watch. My interest is for several things in that game. Not just who's going to win, but the style of play that I'm looking for, the expectations of USC, and to see if Arizona can get 10 wins this year. That's going to be a pivotal game.
Now, looking at the Colorado team, where does Colorado go from where we're at last season? Did they go up, or are they going to stay where they at, or are they going to go down?
What was their record last year?
Let me pull it up real quick here. I think they're all right, let's see here. Last year, 2001. Colorado was 3-6 in conference, 4-8 overall. They were 4-2 at home, 0-5 on the road. So most of their basically, 2 of their losses came from home, and 5 of their losses came on the road. Are they going to be a better road team this year? Let's ask that question.
Man, Colorado has a long, long, long way to go, man. I mean, that program used to be one of the best in the country, man, when Mike McCarthy was there. But through football, there's been a lot of change, transition. The program has changed totally in the way it used to be when it came to the game of football. But I think they probably need a little inspirational boost, man. They lost the alumni over the year here. They lost Charles Johnson, who was a great, great, phenomenal collegiate star and an NFL player as well. Maybe that will help them turn around. Sometimes that helped programs to think back of the days when the program was really competing every weekend. I just don't see what Colorado has to bring to the table being in the Pac-12. And it should be an easy transition for them with this type of program. But it seems like recruiting has definitely hurt this program in more ways than one.
I agree with you, too, on that one. But if you look at their top 10 players, the first 3 are all on the defense. You have a safety who's going into his fifth season, his 3rd year as a starting 6 foot, 205 pounder, led the team last year with 68 tackles to 2, going along with 2 picks in the second straight All-Star season. And then you go down, you got a defensive tackle who is 6'6", 325 pounds, 55 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 total tackles for loss in 23 games. And then you got the defensive end. So they got everybody on the top 3 players on the tier of their defense are, different positions, defensive end, defensive line, and then you got the corner. So now the first offensive guy that gets to is a 5'10", 215 pounds with 299 carries, 1,907 yards, 6.4 yards per carry, 20 touchdowns in 22 games for Sam Houston State. So they got a transfer in there. Does he provide any help or any good abilities to upgrade that offense now in the running back position?
That's a little bitty fella. By those numbers, he's pretty quick, 6.4 yards a carry. I like that's pretty good. Those are good numbers. But how can that be implemented into the Colorado program to produce some W's? On the receiving side, you got to look at that. The quarterbacking situation, I don't think they have anybody that's running the ball out of the backfield with the quarterback. I think he's more of a pocket passing guy, unless that changed. But I think Colorado was looking at this thing probably to win some games defensively and with field position on special teams, other than putting a complete program together. The game plan that includes some offensive production, they probably look at this thing first saying, hey, let's put this in the defensive end and our special teams and go from there. Slow the game down as much as possible till we figure out where we're at.
Okay, and segue to the quarterback position is JT Stark, quarterback junior. He's 6'3", 220 pounds, 37 out of 69, 53.6, 494 yards, 7.2 yards per throw, 5 TDs, 3 interceptions, and 8 games for Tennessee.
Oh, 8 games? Are those his numbers? Wow.
Yeah.
That's not
Played
good.
in Tennessee.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all. Well, SEC and the Pac-12, that's a huge difference. See, that's a different style of play. That's scenario thinking in the SEC. So let's see what this kid has to bring to the table to help Colorado.
Yeah, so, I mean, to me, I think Colorado will probably pick up maybe 1 game this year, maybe more than what they did last year.
I don't see a big plus move in the win column.
So, I don't either. I don't see them. I mean, their top 10 player list is like mostly defense. No, they got 1 tight end, 6'3", 250 pounds, 58 career catches, 646 yards, 11 yards per catch in 25 games. I mean, they're not really a juggernaut on that. So, I mean,
there's no pop. There's nothing popping off the paper. There's nothing popping.
No. All right. Let's go to Eugene. We're gonna go into here. We're gonna preview Oregon. Before that, we're gonna hit a break. We'll be right back. This is the College Breakdown. Ray Cruz and Dre Montez here. We'll be back after these messages.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we're making up plays. We're talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
What did you say?
I said Kobe Bean Bryant has been overrated ever since he passed away.
Now, I'd say they could lose about 4, but I don't see them losing 5. You know what I mean?
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
This is the Fox D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at foxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the College Breakdown Show. I'm Ray Cruz with Dre Montez here. We're getting ready to move into Eugene, Oregon here for the Oregon Ducks and their new head coach. The Oregon Ducks picked up that with the defensive coordinator for Georgia. So this is his first season here at Dan Lanning. He's, his first year at Oregon. So we have no record for him. He's starting his head coaching career. Oregon overall was 10-4 on a crystal ball. The conference is 7-2. The 2 losses came to Utah. So now what does Dan Lanning have to do to prove themselves they can beat Utah?
Oregon. I have so much hope for this program each and every year. But I think I'm like with everybody else. I think I'm more into the hype of the uniforms than anything in the story at Oregon. Because when it boils down to it, that team is so fast, man. But they fail and stumble each and every year at the beginning of November. Then it's all gone and done and over with. I don't know what Oregon needs to do. Maybe they just need to keep it simple and just wear 2 uniforms this year and just get back to trying to win the games.
Yeah, I agree with you, too. Those uniforms, they're sharp and everything else, and I think that's why everybody that draws to them, if they get some good top-notch, they want to go to them because of the uniforms. They get to play in different uniforms just about every game. You know, they don't come out with the same uniform. Now, does he change that culture? Does Dan Lanning come in there and change that uniform culture, and where they, specifically stay with their home and road games and mix in a couple of alternates, but not like it was. Now, my question is here, in 2016, they were 4-8, and then the Pac-12 played players since 1994 when it was still the Pac-10. There have been 2 national championship appearances in the last 12 years for Oregon. No one else in the Pac-12 has any over that expand, including USC, since 1994. They have 5 Rose Bowl appearances, 7 conference championship, and the Pac-12 championship appearance, including 3 in a row. Now, the talented and rolling in Eugene isn't the problem. Was the coaching staff a problem? That's the key. I mean, Sensabaugh went 7-2 last year, 10-4 overall, but the 2 conference losses, they came to Utah.
Yeah, that Utah program has been a little a wrench in somebody's game plan here of late. But to change the culture in college football, it sounds real easy to everybody to say, hey, I'm going to go out here and change the culture. What does that mean? Are you trying to take something away? Are you trying to add something to the program? When you come in there trying to change the culture, now you're affecting what's going on in the locker room. So that changing of the culture, that could be taken the wrong way. But to change the culture, to take something away to make the program better, that'd be interesting if they take the uniform situation away from Oregon to make them a better team. But I just want Oregon to utilize what they've been having is speed, tremendous speed with the receiving core situation. They got tall receivers. They've always been putting that out there. They got great corner play out there, and they got some good linebackers, and the running backs have not been light either at all. And how you get all that and not put some quality W's together, that's an interesting thing right there. I mean, programs get like that, and they can't put quality W's together.
Yeah, and this is one of my. I found this interesting. One of the websites I went to get some of my notes and stuff like that, looking over some of the stuff. This quote was very interesting. They might lose a game, but when they are great, they don't lose 2. And if they do lose 2, it's sure as shooting isn't 2. Like in 2001. Stanford, or the 2020 Cal, or the 2018 Arizona, or the 2017 UCLA, or the 2016 Oregon State. Ever since 2015, Oregon has 1 loss to a team that has finished with a losing record in every year but 2019. And even that powerhouse loss because it didn't show up at Arizona State until it was too late.
Yeah. And I bet a majority of those losses happen in late October or early November. I bet all those losses happen around then. That's when they fail everything. They come out the gate so fast, looking so good, so crisp. Then come late October or November, then it just goes all the way. Shit in the handbasket that fast.
Now, let's take a step here. Their first game against last year was against what? Ohio State, right? Mm-hmm. And they beat them in Ohio State. Now, this year's first game is in Georgia at Sanford Field.
What?
So now we're talking right off the bat. They beat a Big Ten team, because the SEC is probably one of the best conferences in football. Big Ten was considered the second best. So they went into the second best and beat it. Now they're going into the first best conference. And Georgia, who won the championship last year, is going to be probably a little bit of a different team, not quite because they lost that stud linebacker in their defensive line, and Davis and Walker. So now they got to have a little bit of difference on. Now Lanning knows a little bit about their defense because he installed that defense.
Right.
Now, does Oregon have a chance going into Sanford Stadium and beating Georgia at the first game of the season?
Ugga. I got a good friend, Cassie. She's a huge Ugga fan. I like Georgia, too. I'm a big SEC fan, huge SEC fan. But I don't know who this Oregon team is, who they're pretending to be, who they want to be. This is going to be their true self in this first game matchup with Ugga this year. Now, last year, I kind of knew coming into that they were going to beat the Ohio State because the Ohio State was going through something in their own house where chemistry was off at the beginning of the year. Then they put things together. once that happened. But with this Oregon team, if they come out and attack Georgia first, they got a chance. But if they come in this game and let Georgia just show their playbook first, show me what you got, it's going to be a long day for Oregon. It's going to be a very, very long day. But this could be one of those games where it puts Oregon in position to know who they are. It could be one of those games where now we know who we are type of game. We know where we at. We know where we have to go. We need to go high or low or stay where we at on this game.
Yeah, I agree with you too in that aspect there. We're looking at their number one player, Noel Sewell, linebacker, then you got, if you go down here, but the question is, they lost their top running back. He transferred out of there. So now, what kind of replacement are they going to have for him?
If they go back to throwing the ball and running them receiving plays, some runs with the receivers, going back to that style of Oregon type football, because at that time they had those tall, lean receivers, those 6'3s, the 6'5s. If they have some of that, that could be a problem for Uga. That could be a problem. But you can't replace the replacement, and the changing of the culture does not happen as fast. It doesn't happen that fast. We would like it to happen that fast when you get a player that's transferring in that seem to have the numbers that can add to our program in this particular category. I'm all about it. But if there's no way to implement it to the program to give us immediate W's, that's where the head scratching is. That's when coaches got to learn how are we going to work this into the program and use this to our advantage.
I agree with you too. And what we're looking at here is the top 10 best player. Number 10 is Bo Nix, the transfer out of Auburn, the quarterback junior. He's 6'3", 215 pounds, 628 out of 1,007, 59%, 7,251 yards, 39 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 869 yards rushing, 18 TDs, and 3 seasons with Auburn. So now what do you expect him to do up in Eugene?
Played much better football, relaxed. The pressure was on with that last name at Auburn. That's a good move by that kid. That's a really good move. It's a relaxed environment now. Now he can just play ball and not have so much pressure on the mind. I
agree with you there too. And then I think the running back, the sophomore, Brian Cardwell, who was 6 foot, 210, 61 carries, 417 yards, 6.8 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns last season. I think his play is going to step up this year. Do you see him taking over at that running back position?
That could be an ease into the thing. That could be like a 4 or 5 game type period. Let's see what we have versus the schedule, our opponents that we have. Let's see if we can work this to our advantage with implementing this running style that we have now. And also one thing I want to say, when these kids go to these schools behind a legend family member that was a campus legend or did something very significant at that school, that's some hard shit to follow. That's tough. I mean, you got to be ready for it all, because somebody is going to say to you, well, I wish you had the talent like your daddy or your uncle or your grandfather. That's going to come up. And if you're not prepared to handle that each and every time, that could be rough on you. You got to find a happy spot to go to when all that pressure is building up, because you're not playing like the name on the back of your jersey.
Yeah, that too also is a thing too. I think most people won't believe it. You go behind your dad or something that has been a legend, it's kind of harder to go in there and re-petitiate that. I think that's why you didn't see someone like Michael Jordan kids and go to Carolina, because they follow in his father's footsteps, and they couldn't handle that pressure, so they tend to go to different schools and stuff like that, and try to find their own way and their own kind of thing. I think that's what Bo Nix is here. He finally figured out for 3 years that he needed to leave Auburn because, the talks around there, he just can't live up to what his dad, the legend of his dad and stuff. So
that's some hard shit. Some of these dudes do some great things in college, but don't do too well in the pros. And some of us college football fans, that's all we care about is college. We don't give a damn about the pros. So if you can't do nothing for our football program and your dad or uncle or grandfather was a fucking legend and you get here and you're not doing nothing, boo, boo. So
I agree. I agree to a certain point. But this guy right here, Justin Flo, the linebacker, redshirt freshman, he didn't play last year. He's a redshirt freshman. He's 6'3", 246 superstar prospect who's been hurt over the last 2 years. He made just one tackle in 2020 before getting injured, and last year he made 14 tackles. So I mean, he's a redshirt freshman again. So I mean, he made 14 tackles last year. So 14 tackles for a loss, forced fumble against Fresno State, but suffered a season-ending football injury. So now he's coming back from injury, so that's why he redshirted. That's why he gets his freshman year over again. So now, what do you see? Do you see him stepping up this year, not trying to stay injured, not getting injured anymore, and helping this Oregon's defense?
Man, that's tough, man. When you have back-to-back injuries and you're in college and you believe in your talent, the coaches know what you have, your teammates know what you have, but you just cannot get on the field to stay healthy. Now the psychological effect comes in. Now we're thinking, if I go hard, am I going to hurt? If I get hurt, if I tense up, am I going to get hurt? That weighs on the mind of the athlete that comes back from a back-to-back injury. He has to ease into this. He can't go hard right off the bat. Now, if he's one of those guys that just say, the hell with it, I'm going to go 100 miles each and every time, it'll be good. But if he's timid out there, worrying about the injury, thinking about the injury, that's when you get hurt again.
Yeah, that too. And I'm sorry, they're playing Georgia in Atlanta. They're playing at the Falcon Stadium, not Stanford Stadium. So they're playing in Atlanta on September 3rd. So let's go here. Let's go here a little bit here. They got BYU on the 17th after that Georgia game. So they got a little bit of a layup against Eastern Washington on the 10th. 17th is the BYU game.
Okay.
Up in Eugene. So they're on the road. They got 2 back-to-back home games. But the interesting thing is September 24th, they go to Washington State. So that's gonna be a test. But after Washington State, it gets even a little bit harder. They play Stanford at home on October 1st.
I can't wait till we get to Stanford. But that's an interesting schedule already right there.
October 8th is they go to Arizona. So I mean, they could easily get a victory there.
Yeah, they could get a victory.
And they get their bye week on the 15th. Come back off their bye week. They get an extra week to prepare for UCLA.
That's my birthday.
So October 22nd. They got a little bit of a layup on October 29th against Cal at Cal. Then they got back-to-back road games, another layup, pretty much against Colorado and Boulders, Colorado. Then the last two games at home against Washington and Utah, the 12th and the 19th. And then in the Civil War game on November 25th at Oregon State. So, out of all those,
correct to still call it the Civil War game.
Yeah, they still call it though. Should be just the Oregon Civil War. I mean, Oregon playing on both sides. They're playing against each other. So I mean that. But we'll talk about Oregon State in a month. But the interesting thing here is, do you see them losing the November 12th and November 19th back-to-back games?
And the 12th, you say they have who?
Washington, the Huskies.
They can beat Washington. They can beat them. I think they can beat Washington. And the few teams that you mentioned right there, they can definitely beat Arizona. They're going to beat Washington. But
if you look at their Pac-12 schedule, they don't play Arizona State and they don't play USC.
But that's a break for them.
Until like the championship game, probably most likely.
And I bet they got a cakewalk out of conference schedule.
Well, they got Georgia and Eastern Washington is their 2 out of conference schedule, and they got them back. They got them back to back, the 3rd and the 10th.
The little bit of film I've seen on Georgia this season, early in the spring, in the SEC Media Day and all that, just listening to the coaches and listening to the players and watching a little bit of film I have, that could be a tough game for Oregon. It could be a real tough game.
Playing in Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, they on cloud 9, though. The Uggers on cloud 9. I mean, they're defending national champs.
Could that be a hangover for Georgia, though?
No, I don't think so, because I think their coaching staff and the players knew other people from LSU when they won, who told them how to handle it when they get to that moment, how to handle it the following season. Now, LSU ran into other things that disrupted the following year, but I think Uga's in the right spot to defend the national championship. I think they're in the right spot, right frame of mind.
Okay. What's the score of this game, Georgia versus Oregon?
Woo! This
I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the big screen here. I'm going to put you right there all by yourself.
All right.
I want to see. I want you to put you up here by yourself.
All right.
What is Oregon and Georgia's score?
Oregon and Georgia's final score. This for my homegirl Cassie out there. Cassie Joe. I'm picking Georgia to win this one 30-21. 30-21.
That's coming from a Gator fan now.
Yes, it is. Yes. Sorry, guys.
That's why I put him on the big screen so you picture him.
Sorry about that. Sorry, my bad. My bad, homies. My bad. I see you over there. I see you. My boy.
All right, let's move down. Let's move to the other team of the Civil War, if you want to still call it that, Oregon State. So what do you see Oregon State doing this year?
They got the hottest cheerleaders in the Pac-12, I do believe. But that cameraman really knows what he's doing. He's working those games. Go Beavers!
Now, the interesting thing is Jonathan Smith is 16-28, fifth year at Oregon State. His overall record last year was 7-6, conference of 5-4. What's going to be the key for them to have a successful season this year?
Wow. Well, right there, you let me know. Coach is on the hot seat right there. This is his hot seat. He must win. He must win by any means necessary. Man, that's a harsh reality check. 7-6 last year, you said?
Yeah, 7-6 and 5-4 in conference play.
Woo. Man, they must improve. They need a 10-win season.
Well, if you look at it,
10-win season to save his job.
If you look at it, the overall record is 16-28. Before coming in last season, he was 9-22.
Oh no, we got to talk to him.
He was 9-22. He had his best season with 7 wins and 6 losses overall.
Oh no. Who hired this guy? I mean,
he's been there for 5 years.
Hey, this could be it. Hey, honey, don't get too comfortable. Don't register the kids in school yet. This could be like the first month fire here. Man, they got to come out the gate hot.
I mean, Oregon State went 7 years without a winning season or a bowl appearance until last year. So no matter what and no matter how, the season finished with a big cluck against Utah State in the Jimmy Kimball LA Bowl. It was a fantastic turn in the 4 years under head coach Jonathan Smith. So now they come out of there, they quit losing to Utah State. How did it now when they come back here? So when Smith was the Beaver quarterback during that magical 11-1 run in 2000, the team got by an amazing Oregon squad, and it ripped through Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. But was the one loss too bad? Cal team, no West in the New Mexico. So no, that's what one comment I found on one of these writers put out there. So now, what does this team do? What does Oregon State have to do now? And is Jonathan Smith gone after the season, in your opinion?
If he doesn't get 10 wins, 6 wins get you a bowl game. We know that. Just getting to a bowl game is not enough. I think the alumni and the boosters want a little bit more than just a damn bowl game out of this. They want to go further with this. We need some wins. We need some recruits. The NIL needs some kids in here that really want to build this football program up. That's what I'm saying. That first month, he could be up out of there. He could be gone. This is one of those situations. He must come out hot and on fire. What can he do? There's no way possible to look at film from 22 years ago to inspire your team is going to help. This is not a movie. This is real life. So you got to address the situation. If it's the defense, I'm talking to the defense. If it's the offense, I'm talking to them. If it's positional players that's hurting us, I can get 3 people to fill one person's job. Let's get creative with this. I would go back to the drawing board and the winning philosophy. I would go there. I would start over to keep my damn job.
Now, the key I've been looking through, and this one stood out to me. No, Oregon State doesn't have the talent of USC, but it beat the Trojans 45-27 last year.
Well, that USC team last year is no way indicative of the team this year. No way possible. No, that team last year, no way. No, that was not a good reference for a USC comparison. That team was trash.
Yeah, that team was trash. This is going to be a way better team with Williams and Lincoln Riley and their offensive scheme put it up there and the thing. So let me take a look here. Let's analyze Oregon State's schedule real quick, and then we got to move on to
Keyshawn Johnson go to one of USC practices and get mad and walk off.
Yes,
there's no discipline out there. They just running around.
Last year, yeah, he walked out last year. All right. So let's take a peek and see if we can get the 10 wins here out of their schedule. September 3rd, they play Boise State. Is that a win?
Yes.
September 10th at Fresno State. Is that a win?
Yes.
September 17th, Montana State. Is that a win?
Yes.
September 24th, USC.
No.
Okay, that's their one loss. They go back to back with tough games. October 1st at Utah.
Yes, they're gonna win that.
They're gonna beat Utah. At Utah.
Yeah.
October 8th, they got to go to Stanford. Back to back road games against.
No, they're gonna lose that.
October 15th, Washington State.
That's a tough one. That could be. I'm gonna give them the win. I'm gonna give them the win on that one.
October 22nd, Colorado goes up to Oregon State.
Oregon State.
Okay, they got an open date on the 29th. Then they come back out of the open date. They got an extra week against November 5th against Washington at Washington.
I'm gonna give them the win.
Then they got Cal on November 12th.
I give them the win.
Then they go to Herm Edwards and Arizona State on the 19th of November.
Loss.
And then they got Oregon at home.
Loss.
So you got 1, 2.
Is that 8-4?
Yep.
Coach fired.
Coach is fired. Even though they had a winning season, he's still fired.
Yeah. A bowl game is not enough. It's just not enough anymore. These schools want money and they want players. They want recognition. They need that attraction. They're trying to close deals around the school. So they need to win to get that money and to get that real estate and to get this building, to get this facility built. All this is for a reason, to get these W's, kids. I need these wins. If you win, the school and university wins. We get better facilities, better opportunities, more programs, better athletes, more money, more opportunity. All that comes along with winning in college. All of it. You don't get none of that shit with losing.
Yeah, I get that too. And so let's move on to Stanford here. We got out of the Oregon territory. We go back to California and Stanford.
School of America.
Head coach David Shaw is 93-45, 12 years at Stanford. Overall record last year was 3-9. Conference play was 2-7. Where do you look at Stanford? What did they need to improve on? They need to improve a lot from that overall record 3-9 last year.
Yeah, first of all, coach need to get out of his feelings. He need to get out. He's one of those coaches that hate to lose and takes everything on his shoulders when it's an incomplete pass, when he doesn't get the right call, doesn't get the recruit that he wants. The game doesn't go his way. And it shows. He has the worst body language as a coach in college football to me. Now, they lost a lot of their recruits, I do believe, due to the way they were playing ball. The way they were playing ball it was not that winning formula that we saw that Stanford is capable of doing. It just disappeared. Something happened, and the players start going to the South a little bit more, and that kind of frustrated the coaching staff. So they need to go back what works for Stanford. They need to go back what was working. Smart play. Players that fit the program, fit the mode, know their role, understanding their position. They need to find those players. And it seemed they had a difficult time the last 2 seasons with that.
Yeah, I agree with you too. And everything crashed in 2019, but 2020 team went 4-2, making the 4-8 previous season like an average season. And all seemed okay with a 3-2 start, with a acceptable loss to Kansas State and UCLA, and then a big win over UCLA and Oregon to go along with the road victory over Vanderbilt. And then nothing after that. No points, no running game, no defense, no serious 7-game losing streak, when nothing seemed to go right against the schedule of all Power 5 conference from last year. So that was really tough from last year because they had a losing streak. Nothing seemed to go right against a schedule of none but all Power 5 conferences. Was that a big mistake, scheduling all Power 5 conferences last year?
Yes, that was it, because he wasn't ready for that smoke. Wasn't ready for that at all. If I don't have, I'm up there with Deion when they asked Deion, was he ready to play Alabama? No, I don't have what I need yet. I'm not saying I don't want to play Alabama. I'm just saying right now I don't have what I need. When I get what I need, and it's coming, trust me, then I will be ready. And Stanford didn't have what they needed for that type of smoke that they wanted to get asked for at the beginning of the season. They just don't have it. And I'm bothered by the fact how fast that program had such a reputation of putting out stellar quality, high IQ athletes, and all of a sudden it just dropped out of nowhere. What is going on at Stanford that this has happened? I mean, it's in California. What is the issue? Why can't Stanford recruit, and the recruiters that they do have, why can't they go out there and put out great Stanford football plays and wins? What's going on with this program? Could he be in a hot seat? I know he has a winning record, but what have you done for me lately?
That's going to be a good question. I mean, he's too busy doing, when he's not got the football team in bowl games, he's too busy doing the NFL draft and all that stuff, being the color analyst and stuff like that.
Technology, what they have, all in the videos, all on the stage. Man, be a damn college head coach.
So, I mean, if you look at their top 10 players, their quarterback, Tanner McKee, 6'6", 226 pounds, 186 out of 290, 64% passing, 2,155 yards, 14 TDs, 7 interceptions, 22 rushing yards for 4 touchdowns. Honorable mention, all Pac-12 last year. Now, what does how does he turn around the ratio and get more touchdowns than it is? Is he still stuck in that back in the 90s and 80s, running the ball first and then passing second type mentality? Does he need to get out of that?
I tell you what, you just said that quarterback is 6'6".
Yes.
See, no excuses when you can see that far down the field being that damn tall. You're not utilizing your skill set and your ability. And when I see tall quarterbacks not taking advantage of their height and reading the defense and understanding defensive coverage a whole lot better, we're going back in the classroom. All that technology at Stanford, there should be no excuse at the quarterback position. None at all. None whatsoever. Yeah, that old style of play is gone in college football. That run the ball first, let's take the 1st and 10, and let's try to get to a 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 6. That type of shit, that's out the window now. No, that type of football is gone. If you're still doing that, listen to me. You're going to lose.
Now, let's take a look here on the defensive side. Is Stanford going to get better on the defensive side this year? Their number one rated player of the top 10 is KU Blue Kelly, the quarterback senior, the 6'1", 190-pound veteran quarterback. He isn't a Blazer, but he is good. He's got good size and can tackle. He's great at going to get a ball as he's turning into a big-time pro prospect. Do you believe in the defense is going to be better this year?
I was just up here thinking about this when it comes to Stanford. I never thought of Stanford as a defensive team. Never. Not saying that they can't go out here and put out a top 50 type defense this upcoming college football season. It's kind of hard to be the top guy on a defense where a school is not known for their defense. That's kind of hard to do. So he got to be the look at me player. He has to be very assertive on the defensive side. He got to be jumping all over the place. Got to be like a jackrabbit out there to get this defense on the map as well as himself as well. It's going to be interesting to see. Again, I'm not a person that has ever looked at Stanford for their defensive skill set. Not saying that I'm right or wrong in this situation, but I'm more curious to see what Stanford defense can do based on the numbers of this young man and what you told me about Stanford so far.
Well, looking at their schedule, they got Colgate the 3rd of September.
That's a win.
But then immediately on September 10th, they play USC.
That's a loss.
But the interesting thing about the schedule is their open date is on the 17th of September.
What's going on there?
The open date is the third week into the football season.
That's odd. That's
So
real odd.
So you got 7. You got the first 2 games. You're playing at home, USC and Colgate. Then you take an open break, and then you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 straight weeks. You play without a break after the open break.
I wonder, is there something going on in the Stanford family that third week needs to be taken off? Is something going on? Is the facility in use, or did the opponent they were supposed to play, did something come in with COVID? I mean, that's odd and interesting at the same time to be 3 weeks into the season and you're on a bye.
Yeah, get ready for this, though. After they come out of the bye, they go to Washington. They go to Oregon. They're at home against Oregon State. They go to Notre Dame. They're at home against Arizona State. They're at UCLA. Then they back home against Washington State, at Utah, at Cal, and then the last game of the season is at BYU.
Who made this damn schedule? They going in the fire the whole after that break. They in the fire every weekend. Every weekend. He could be in the hot seat. That's 2 coaches in the hot seat I see already.
Dude, only guarantee win on your schedule is Colgate.
That's it. That's it. If the past 2 seasons of Stanford type football comes out, they got 1 win this year. And coach is fired. He's gone. Thank you all you've done here, but it's time to go.
And then boom, you got USC right off the bat. Not University of South Carolina, University of Southern California. Don't get that USC mixed up now. But look, I mean, dude, they probably could beat Washington at Washington, maybe. But that next game after that, they got to go to Oregon. But they play Oregon always tough. That's the thing. Man. But then you talk about the 2 coaches on the hot seat already.
Yeah.
Boom. October 8th. They play against each other.
Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. That's the unfortunate thing.
Now, if you look at it, Shaw's been there 12 years. 12 years. I mean, he's had good seasons there. He had good games, good teams there. But, I mean, still, 12 seasons, and now you're getting these tough schedules. But see, I give him a credit, though, on this tough schedule, though. If he can win, just make believe here, but, still. How about he wins all these games right here? That puts him automatic into the college playoffs. Those 7 weeks after the bye break, right there.
That's This is going to be a tough season for Stanford. Tough. I mean, they got to put together a miracle season. A miracle. This could be a 30 for 30 in the making.
Yeah. So let's go here. Let's move right along to UCLA. Let's see what UCLA is going to do here with Chip Kelly. Do you see UCLA and Chip Kelly doing what they need to be doing here?
What was their record last year?
Their record is Chip Kelly is in his fifth year at UCLA. He's 18-25, ninth year overall coaching, 64-32. His overall record was 8-4, 6-3 in the conference. What do you see? You see him now challenging out there, challenging to get the program into the top tier programs in college football.
Yeah, I think Chip Kelly wanted this and needed this with Lincoln Riley coming there. Now it's a little bit more competitive conference, and that's going to make Chip Kelly stand out. A lot of people don't believe in his coaching philosophy, his ways, the way he talks, all of that, his style, none of it. Nobody likes it, but he digs it, and it really shines when he has competition in front of him. Now, in the beginning, it was a little rough first 3 years for him out there in UCLA because the message wasn't going through. Kids weren't believing in the hype of the Chip Kelly. Then it took him bringing in kids who used to play for him to talk to the kids, to get them to understand. I know it may seem strange what he's doing, but this is the reason he's doing this. So I think that kind of helped him out, win over the program, the kids, and get his message out to them on why he's doing certain things. But this tougher, more competitive outlook on the Pac-12, I think it's good for college football, and especially for Chip Kelly to see UCLA back in the conversation of winning. I think this is a good thing for Chip Kelly. I can see them possibly putting a 10-win season together. 10 is 2 more than last year.
Yeah, I agree with to a point here, and it's key here. You said that, but 2 key statements in here when I was going through my notes and when I was looking up some of the stuff here and things there. Even worse on the regular basis, on the basis of one of the top 2 teams will probably be Lincoln Riley, emerging juggernaut at USC. Oregon will be right there. But when you said that one key statement that you said, UCLA was building towards this. And now the USC game is going to be interesting. Do you see UCLA and USC game? How do you see that? You see UCLA winning? You see USC winning?
I see a 3 overtime game. 3 overtimes, I got USC. This is going to be one of those. This is going to bring people back to those times when USC and UCLA were both really good in the 90s. It's going to bring people back to that conversation out there on the left coast. People that remember that time when both of those programs were good, when both of those programs had a student body that really got after each other. And it's getting that way. We're almost there. About 2 more years, it'll be there. But this is what college football needed, and especially the Pac-12 needed this. This is their largest outdoor cocktail party.
And the interesting thing is Dorian Thomas-Robinson, the quarterback, a great recruit for the program who grew into the job for the start, just as Jim Kelly took over. DTR has completed 61% of his passes for 7,541 yards and 61 touchdowns with 26 interceptions that ran for 1,181 yards for 16 touchdowns over the last 4 seasons. He earned second team all Pac-12 honors in 2021. But the interesting thing is, to me, is the linebacker, Darren Musa, the linebacker, is a senior. He's 6'1", 230 pounds, 274 tackles, 11.75 sacks, 226.5 total tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 7 broken up passes, 5 fumble forces, 3 fumble recoveries over the last 3 seasons at Hawaii. The 2020-2021 first team All Mountain West. So that he got the transfer out of Hawaii. What do you think he's going to do at UCLA? Those stats numbers that he did at Hawaii, now you think what he's going to do at UCLA?
Lincoln Riley already built this program before he got there. I mean, not Lincoln Riley. Chip Kelly already knows what he wants when he gets in players, when they transfer in. He knows how to use those players, how to utilize their skill set right away. That's one thing I admired about Chip Kelly. The knock on Chip Kelly, you know, the weirdness and all that, and the awkwardness and all that, and how straightforward he is, kind of is a knockback to some of these football players out there. But I think what he has done at UCLA and the way these kids are transferring into his particular program, and this kid from Hawaii, he's very exciting too. I think he's going to fit the Chip Kelly style of play. He fits the mold. Some people just come into a program and it fits right away. And we sit at home and say, wow, it just fits so easily into the program. It fits his style of play. You don't have to do that much work when it fits what you're doing. And we usually hear that from football players on the quarterbacking side on their transfer. When they transfer, they have to transfer to somebody that fits their style of play, what they know. Because they're coming out of these schools where they've been running the program for 3 or 4 years. And they got to go somewhere in college now and learn a completely different program in a matter of weeks. That's a lot to put on the kid. That's a lot. But I think this particular transfer is nice.
I mean, UCLA is starting off pretty good. They got Bowling Green, Alabama State, South Alabama, Colorado, and Washington. And then October 8th, just before they get into their bye week on October 15th, they got Utah.
They could possibly go into the bye week undefeated.
Now, coming out of the bye week, they get one extra week. They go up to Eugene, up in Oregon. That's going to be an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Chip Kelly back at Oregon. Yep. Then they got Stanford. Then they go to Arizona State. Arizona's it'd probably be a win, but then they got to wait to November 19th to play USC. November 19th is going to be the game that where everybody's going to be circling on that calendar. Chip Kelly versus Lincoln Riley.
That's going to be the one. That is going to be the one. That's going to be an action-packed, must-see. That's going to be a good game. I hope it's at night, too.
My next question is, they got USC. Do you see Chip Kelly's team choking out of that, coming out of having a hangover, lose to Cal on November 25th?
No. Because Chip Kelly, he's different. He kind of reminds me of a Bobby Bowden, the way he has that relationship with his players. He kind of reminds me of a Bobby Bowden. You know, he derelicts his duties to his coaches. He has one area of focus that he's on, and you coaches, you know what you're supposed to do. If everyone does their job, we're going to be okay. I don't think I can see a hangover coming from that. No.
Okay. And then let me push this back right now. Since we've been talking about the Pac-12 for the last hour and a half or so, we're going to push the Big Ten back till in 2 weeks. So we'll do that in 2 weeks because next week I won't be here. We're trying to find somebody to sit in for me. If we can't find nobody, the show probably won't come on because my church is giving out a thing called a Big Give. We give out to families that need school supplies. So that's a big thing that we do in August. So I'm very proud of that. And if you're in Jacksonville, we'll be at the Ocean Way Middle School. Thing starts at 10 o'clock. To 12, ends at 12 at the Ocean Way Middle School. If you're there, if you're listening in Jacksonville, come on out. We'll get you to have a food drive going on at the back end of the school, and then the school supplies will be going through the front, so you can get your food and you get your supplies. So, and they also, and the one keynote into that, students have to be with their parents, have to attend there. So there you go. So, you know, that's a big thing that goes on next week for me. Probably if the College Breakdown show doesn't come on, that's probably why, because we couldn't find nobody to sit in for me. So I'm just letting you know what's going on. Now, in the moment we were waiting for the USC, the University of Southern California, not the University of South Carolina. This is the University of South California. So now, my friend, USC, Lincoln Riley, Williams coming out from, Alabama up to Oklahoma. Now he's at USC. What do we see? What do we see out of this young man here in Lincoln Riley?
I'm more intrigued on the offensive side with the quarterbacking situation at USC than I am on the defensive side with USC, because Lincoln Riley is an offensive-minded guy. I want to see him average 54 points a game with this type of offense that USC has inherited by the transfer portal. They're set up to go really nice.
Now get this: he's coached 6 years, head coach of 6 years, all at Oklahoma. He's 55-10.
Whoa.
55-10.
Oh.
Last year's record was 4. The USC, and not under Lincoln Riley. This is under the former head coach. 4-8 in conference with 3-6.
Mm-hmm. Despicable.
And you talk about Keyshawn Johnson walking out of the practice because they were undisciplined and stuff like that. Now Lincoln Riley comes in, you're gonna have discipline all over the place. So now this excites the alumni to come back. Like Keyshawn Johnson now comes back to practice, probably stayed up for the whole practice, not leaving.
I think the hype is there for USC. The expectations, the what if. This is what could happen if. They have laid out the landscaping plan for the athletic program. What could happen if this turns into the winning form of what 55-10 means coming to a program such as USC, a prestigious program such as USC? Historically speaking of football, all the greats that have come through there, for that program not to be anywhere in discussion of football for the past decade plus is embarrassing. They needed this big time. I knew it may have shooken up the college football world, pissed off some people in Oklahoma. You get over it. You'll be all right. This was a business decision to get Lincoln Riley to USC. Will it work the first year? Time will tell. But they are set up good and ready to go. There should be no excuses. He has everything he needs. He has a quarterback that knows his offensive system. Knows it. He got the teammate of the quarterback at receiver. Should be no problems. I got your car. It's insured. I paid for your schooling. There should be no problems if you get back and forth to school. I want no excuses. USC has taken away the excuses. Everything is there. They are set up perfectly to disrupt college football this year. Take the attention away from the SEC.
Now you look at the top 10 players. These players were not on USC teams last year. Number one was Caleb Williams, the quarterback sophomore, the 6'1", 215-pound sophomore burst onto the scene, breaking through touchdowns, runs, changed around the Texas game, led the way to the shocking win, and never looked back. He might have had some elusiveness in the passing game, but the leadership and maturity for his age, his smart dual threat ability makes him one of the nation's most dangerous all-around quarterback. In just over a half a season of work, he completed 136 out of 211 yards passes, 65%, 1,912 yards, 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and he ran 79 times for 442 yards and 6. But then the number two guy came from, he's 6 foot, 175 pounds, Biletnikoff winner as the nation's top wide receiver, All-American and All-ACC star, caught 160 yards passes for 2,259 yards, averaging 14.1 yards per catch with 21 touchdowns, 114 yards rushing, and scored in his 2 years at Pitt. He averaged 14.3 yards per putt return and 19.5 yards per kickoff return. So two players not even on the USC teams are number one and number two as our top 10 players.
The quarterback, 21 touchdowns and 4 picks. I could work with those numbers. I could live by those numbers. That's good. That's understanding the situation and letting the play develop and making smart plays. That's what those numbers speak to me. You got a receiver that can be good for you on special teams as well. I'm telling you, They have taken away the excuses at USC. What more do you need?
I got one more for you. Since you said what more do you need? They got 5'10", 200-pound, two-time honorable mention all Pac-12 back from Oregon. Ran 521 times for 3,111 yards, 6 yards per carry with 21 touchdowns and caught 83 passes for 869 yards and 8 scores in his 4th season with the Ducks. He's also averaging over 20 yards per kickoff return, 10.4 yards per return. So now they got 2 kickoff returners also. Now they're going to be a dual threat back there. So, you can replace one with the other and still ain't losing none production. So now they got 3 players that are not on this USC team from last year. All top-notch players. Honorable mention on one, Blitnikoff winner on one. And then you got Clay Williams, who halfway through the season brought Oklahoma all the way back through to Texas. Now you say they're taking all the excuses out. If Lincoln Riley don't win at least 11 games, is that a failure?
Yes. Hands down. Yes. Yeah, and if I was Lincoln Riley, I would turn down the bowl game invitation. I would turn it down. If I don't, I would write the number on the board so they see the number that we're shooting for. That number would be on the board each and every day. Get to know that number, kids. That's the number we're hunting. We're not hunting a team. We're not hunting a schedule. We're hunting the win total. That should be the goal. That's it. But anything less than 11 wins, unacceptable. Unacceptable.
So we talked about the top 10 players. We talked about the thing, but we really haven't said anything about their schedules. So let's go look at their schedule and see how it compared to Stanford's schedule is and see how good their schedule is. Okay, we look at it. They got Rice the first game of the season, September 3rd. So that's going to probably be a blowout. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah.
They got Stanford in. They go to Stanford on September 10th. That could be a good game or it could be a blowout game.
They're going to put a nickel up on 50 points.
Fresno State, a blowout.
50 points.
Oregon State.
50 points.
All right. Herm Edwards and Arizona State. They go to USC.
No comment. No comment.
So basically, they got Arizona State, Washington State, Utah. Then they got a break on the 22nd of October. You notice everybody's got a break in October besides Stanford.
Something's up.
So October 29th, they got Arizona, and then they got Cal back-to-back, Colorado. And then the next 2 toughest games will be UCLA on the 19th, and then they go to UCLA, and then they be at home against Notre Dame on the 25th.
Now, Notre Dame and USC always used to play some good games, especially when Pete Carroll and my man Lou Holtz would get together. Those used to be some classic Golden Domer matchups back in the day. And I would love to see that again. In the way Notre Dame program is shifting, you still need to pick where you're going to play football at. But when they get back and they match up, it's always fun. It's always fun watching USC and Notre Dame play football together. But this is a different breed now. It's a different Notre Dame team. It's a big difference in this USC team. This is going to be a fun game to watch this year.
Yeah. True. That's going to be fun.
Totally different.
So we're going to go ahead and take another break here. This is the College Breakdown Show with Ray and Dre Montez. When we come back, we will take Utah, Washington, and Washington State to finish out the Pac-12 and then move to the Big 12 after that. So we'll be right back after these messages.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
What did you say?
I said Kobe Bean Bryant has been overrated ever since he passed away.
Now, I'd say they could lose about 4, but I don't see them losing 5. You know what I mean?
Whole sports, all plays. Yeah. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays.
This is the Fonx D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at fonxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the College Breakdown Show. I'm Ray Cruz and Dre Montez. We're back here. We're going to now finish up these last 3 schools here. We're going to move right into the Utah game. Utah last year put some whooping on Oregon. Does that propel them into this season and their bowl status from last season? Do they take that carryover into this season? What does Utah have to do to compete against the UCLAs, the USCs, the Oregons?
They won 7 games last year.
Let me get to that. Yes, their head coach is Lincoln. That's wrong one. Pull up the right one here. Hold on 1 second here. There we go. Utah. All right, the head coach is Cal Whittingham. He's 144 out of 70. 18th year at Utah. 18th year overall, 144 out of 70, 2021. His 2001 record was 10-4, and conference play was 8-1.
It's a nice little record there for the Utes. It's nice. They top 10 players.
And one interesting thing about him, he's coached all 18 years as a head coach at Utah.
That's some longevity right there. I like the Utes. They always put somebody out there that's pretty decent on the offensive line. They got good line protection. I know that about Utah for sure. To do even better from last year, can they be the one to possibly put a halt on UCLA, or put a halt on USC, or even put a halt on the Arizona State? With a coach like that, man, so there's no change coming. This is what you get each and every time with the Utes. There's no surprises, no changes, no trickery. Huh. I guess I didn't know that record was that good.
Well, they got Cameron Raisin, the quarterback. He's a junior. He's 6'2", 220 pounds overall, and the injury that cost him 2020 season to take over the starting job early last year. He earned the first team All Pac-12 honors, completing 64% of his passes for 2,493 yards and 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions last year with 499 rushing yards and 6 scores. And he's the number 2 guy on the team. The number 1 guy is Carl Phillips, the corner sophomore. He's 5'10", 184 pounds, second team All Pac-12 performer, and an excellent pro prospect. Might not be one of the stars in the offensive backfield, and he might not be the one that is a killer on the front 7, but he now needs to be considered among the best corners in the country. He's a tough hitter for his size. He's made 86 tackles with 3 interceptions, 2 picks, 6 and 15 broken up passes over the last 2 seasons.
What you said at the beginning to piggyback off of, you said, yeah, they should basically be still excited about what they did from last year. I mean, wow, those some decent numbers right there. But all the hype has been around USC, so they're not being looked at. That could be a plus sign for them, that nobody's paying them no mind. They can still sneak in there and get some W's out their schedule this year. Sometimes that helps though when everybody's not talking about you. That helps out a whole lot.
That's true too. And piggyback off that, everybody else is piggyback what we just said. It was I found this kind of a statement here. It does, and if they stay in the Pac-12 with this or without USC, UCLA, as long as the formula stays in place, and even without the division, it's still strong enough now to expect the Pac-12 championship appearance to include this season.
That's well said. That's
well
said.
And if you look at their schedule this year, that's going to be the key for Utah is if how tough is their schedule is. Right off the bat, you get to see them. They play your Gators September 3rd at Florida in the swamp. Now, Mr. Montez, does the Gators win that game?
Yes, my Gators are going to win that game. Yes,
how much? Is it going to be a close game?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think we're going to win this game handily here, like 27-3. I'm going to win this game handily. Going to win this game handily. We're working on something in Florida. I'm watching the secret tape film right now as I'm talking to you. We're working on some things down there in Florida. Keep up the good work, fellas. Trey, watch.
Okay, then September 10th, they got Southern Utah.
That's a win.
You got San Diego on the 17th.
Ooh, that's a win.
They got Arizona State on the 24th.
I don't know.
They got Oklahoma State on the 1st.
I don't know.
You ready for this one? The next 2 weeks after that? The 8th and the 15th. They got UCLA at UCLA, and then they play at home against USC.
Ah, shit, Coach. Coach.
And that's before their open break on the October 22nd.
Coach, what we going to do for homecoming?
Then after the break, they got Washington State, Arizona, Stanford, Oregon, and Colorado.
Oh man. The second half they get a little bit of a break. It's not that bad. It's gonna be tough to get 10 wins. It's gonna be tough. It's possible. It's opportunistic.
That's what we're looking at right there. So I mean, can Utah stay in that?
Possibility of getting 10 wins. There's a hope and a premise there, Coach. I'm not saying we can't get there. We're gonna have to really come together this year as a team, as a unit, as a crew to get 10 wins.
Okay, then let's move on to Washington here. Utah, we know pretty much here. Now, Washington Huskies are interesting. Under Kellen DeBoer, who's first year on the University of Washington, but his third year overall as a head coach. He's 12-6 overall. Last year, record doesn't reflect his thing because this is his first year. Overall, last year, Washington was 4-8 in conference, 3-6. And our preview here, since the 4-8 clunker of a 2001 season was a blimp, it starts back ending the worst and led to the regime change that brought in the new head coach, Kellen DeBoer from Fresno State. So how you think the new head coach is going to take this Washington team? He was 12-6 over 3 years. He counts for Fresno State, leading the Fresno State Bulldogs. So
I'm the coach coming into a program that finished with 4 wins.
Yes, and 8 losses.
I would keep it real simple. Real simple, man. Bowling. We're going bowling. The goal should be a bowl game. It's not taken away from the team. It's not having too high of expectations. It's just saying, hey, we get to 6 wins. We're going bowling. That will be my first year goal, to get to a bowl game. That way I'm making the boosters and the alumni happy because they haven't been bowling in quite some time. I mean, Washington hasn't been a winning quality program in the news since 1990, I do believe, when they were close to the national championship. That's about the last time that Washington has been in everyday conversation, I do believe. But if I'm a first-year coach, I'm keeping it real simple. Real simple. I don't want to put too high of expectation on the players or the program or the coaches. Let's have a fun year. Let's compete. But let's be smart about this. Let's take our opponents as they are, but we're going to get 6 wins. We're going bowling. Let's go, gentlemen, on 3.
Yeah, this is interesting. I found this one pointer. Somebody said the board can probably will, and flip this around fast for Washington, and should be a factor against and or the expansion front. So they've been mentioned that they are going to they're one of the teams that are looking at the Big Ten, maybe Oregon at the Big Ten too. So that's going to be the next question here. With all these expansion talks and the Pac-12, is the Pac-12 conference doomed if Oregon and UCLA and USC pulls out?
No, because here's the thing. Here's the one team that's out there that is in control of this whole situation of shocking the world. It's Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame. Notre Dame decides where to go, it's going to shake up the whole situation. Nobody give a damn what happens to the Pac-12 right now. It's not in disarray. There's enough money in there. There's enough winning formulas in there to figure out something. They don't need those two teams to stay or leave. The Pac-12 is going to be fine. But when everybody gets done rambling around trying to figure out how to fix this alliance, this allegiance of college football conferences to get better competition, it's Notre Dame. You need Notre Dame. Somebody need them bad.
Yeah, true.
That is the fish. That is the one to get.
And if you look at Washington's top 10 players, the offensive line, Jason Kirkland, he's roughly the 6'7", 310-pounder NFL talent, is two-time first team all Pac-12 blocker, and earns honorable mention honors in 2019. Kirkland's a stud. They got a good edge rusher in Zion Tupuola. He's the first team. He was one of the nation's best rushers at 6'4", 241 pounds. Junior was All-American, first team All Pac-12. Started in 2020, but missed most of last year, hurt with the torn Achilles tendon. He comes up with 13 tackles with 7 sacks and 3 forced fumbles in 2020. So they're getting him back. He's their rated number 2 player in the top 10. And then if you look at it, the only one offensive player that's in the top 5 is Kirkland, and then the rest of his defense, top 6 defense, top 7, rest of it from 2 on down is all defense. And then until we get to number 8, Vern Crew, the offensive guard. And then number 9 is a defensive player. And then wide receiver, Jalen McClendon, wide receiver. But then no talk of the quarterback. The quarterback should be at least one of the top 10 players on all teams. Do you agree?
Yeah. But I guess when you're 4-8, that could be the key issue right there. That Kirkland kid you mentioned, I wonder is that in relation to Levon Kirkland, former NFL player? I wonder is that his kid or any relation?
Don't know. Let me see if we can pull some quick notes on there.
Again, back to the program and what it can do and the expectations of a program coming out of a 4-8 situation, a 4-6 situation. That's with a new coach. Oh man, how do you gain the attention of the locker room when you knew? Your numbers not off the chart as a coach, so they're curious about you. What make you so special to be our coach? What you gonna bring to the table? Not a team questioning you. So it has to be an uncomfortable situation when coaches come into a program that's not winning and you don't have the greatest win total either. But you're a coach and you're trying to prove yourself and trying to get this program where the school and university wants it to be at. So the coaches and the players kind of need each other. I'm trying to do better and still continue to play football, so I need this program to win. So being a first-year coach has to be tough sometimes, and at sometimes like a Lincoln Riley going there with a 55-10 record to a program that desperately needs it. It's a different situation.
True. And some tidbits here. Lorenzo Levon Kirkland was born February 17, 1969. He's a former American. And then Kirkland's cousin, Devon Steele, plays in the NFL right now. Okay. Jason Kirkland did his part, but University of Washington. He was a legacy player, the son of 1990 first team All Pac-10 offensive guard Deion Kirkland is a flurry player in his own time. So his father is the 1990 first team All Pac-10 offensive guard Dean Kirkland.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's his heritage there.
Yeah.
If y'all didn't know anything, y'all know something now.
There it is right there.
All right, let's look at here. Pretty much their first tough game to come is on September 17th with Michigan State. The first two games are against Portland State and Kent State. Then they got Stanford, UCLA, Arizona State. Then they tail a little bit off with Arizona. Then once again, October 22nd, 29th is their open date. Once again, all Pac-12 teams has their open dates in October, except Stanford. So if they get any injured players between that week, they got that 29th to hopefully get some of the people back. Stanford, if you get injured after that bye week, you're toast, man. I never seen somebody have a bye week, 3 weeks into the schedule unless they build in a second bye week somewhere. But 7 straight weeks of nothing but pure football against some tough thing.
Doesn't look good at all.
And then if you look at Washington's schedule, I mean, they play UCLA, but they don't play USC. They don't play Oregon, and they don't play Utah.
Damn. They're giving him a break for a first-year coach. They want to ease him on into it. They're going to grease him up real good next year.
So that's kind of obviously weird if you look at it. Let's move on to Washington State, the other team up in Washington here. Since Mike Leach has left to go to Texas A&M last year,
I miss him already.
the head coach is Jake Derrick. He's 3-3, second-year coach at Washington State. He's overall 7-6, and Washington was 7-6, and overall in conference play was a 6-3. So they had win record in conference, and overall they were 7-6, one game over 500 in the overall total. What do you see? How do you see him putting Washington State back into at least competitiveness in this Pac-12 conference?
I think the language barrier is going to be a plus for these kids. Now they got a coach who actually they can understand what he's talking about without using coded words. So I think that's a plus sign with him. And getting his own players into his program and his belief system, that ought to be fun to watch. But as far as being competitive, I don't think they were too far off the beaten path with the record that they had last year. I mean, they can improve a couple wins here or there, but I don't see a big drastic change coming. I don't see that coming at all.
Yeah, and one key statement in this whole thing is Washington State has been to 6 bowl games in the last 7 seasons with the 2020 and that weird 4-game campaign, the lone outliner. Cal can't boost that. Stanford can't boost that. That make that claim. Oregon State can't make that claim either, and neither can USC or UCLA. In that effect there. So, what do you say about that? And making 6 out of the last 7 bowl games for Washington State, even though they're not top tier bowl games. I mean, but they made bowl games.
Yeah, and they're getting the nice payout bowl games, not those ones that's barely got enough money to pay the payout, but they're getting some nice bowl games. That's good for Washington State. It's good for recruiting. I mean, they had a lot to do with the coach at that time, but let's see what this coach can do for us now moving forward. What more can we get out of this situation? And having that type of a resume, that's a sexy resume to put out there in front of someone.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that too, and can Washington State compete with USC and UCLA, this year version of UCLA and USC?
No, not yet. They're not ready yet. I think they have the pieces there. They got to figure out how to use those pieces to their advantage to get the win. You see what I'm saying? I have the team, but I got to figure out how to use these players to win this game. I have them all, but let me figure out how to use them, how to utilize their skill set against those two opponents, and then I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about what we can do as a team here at Washington State.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it too, I'm trying to find some of their top 10 players, but I guess they don't really have no top 10 players because that page, I can't find no top 10 players for them.
It's going to make somebody step up. Somebody's going to step up in that program.
I mean, if you look at it, they got Idaho first game. September 6th is going to be at Wisconsin at Camp Reynolds Stadium against a Big Ten team. Then they come back home against Colorado State and Oregon on the 17th and 24th. Then they go to Cal on the 1st. They go to USC on the 8th. They go to Oregon State on the 15th. They got an open date on the 22nd. October 29th then they come back out of the open day to get an extra week against Utah to prep for them. Then they go to Stanford. Then Arizona comes here. Arizona State comes there, Herm Edwards. And then the 19th at Arizona, and then they finish off at Washington on November 26th.
Damn, it don't get easy for them either.
No.
That's a tough schedule.
So I mean, if they get to a bowl game out of that schedule, that's gonna be saying something for them.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Have you thought about possibly with your church giveaway doing the show from there?
The only reason I can't do the show from there is because I'm part of the parking team, and that's nonstop parking there.
Oh, okay.
It's like a revolving door. I'm the leader of the parking team, and it's like a revolving door because you got to make sure everybody's hydrated. You got to make sure everybody's in the right positions because we do have some people here. Yeah, we have some people that like to come in the wrong way. We set up one-way entrance and go out the other exit, and some people like to sneak in through the back on the exit instead of coming to the entrance. So it's a lot of detail, a lot of work.
Enter. It means go in.
My day will start about 8 o'clock. I get there about 8, get everybody ready. About 8:30, we'll start parking people because everybody's size, they want to come an hour and a half early to get in that line to be the first one there. So, it's all good. I mean, this is my 5th year doing it. So,
awesome. It's for the kids, man. It's tax weekend this weekend. So, everybody don't forget to go to school shopping.
Right. So, we're going to move right along here. We're going to move into the Big 12 here. So, we're going to start off with Baylor, the Baylor Bears. So, let's see here. Let's look at here. David. Was that Archada, Arada?
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's a former LSU guy. His third season at Baylor, he's 14-9. His coaching career has only been 3 years long as a head coach. He's 14-9. He's 5 games over 500. Last year, he was 12-2. Conference record was 7-2. So what does Baylor Bear has to step up? I mean, they were 12-2 and 7-2. So now what's the next step for them?
Not to lose in November. They're one of those teams that fall pattern that too. They lose in November. It's always a crucial part of the game that they lose in November. They get nervous around November. But I like that program. They changed their complete program all the way. I'm talking about the entire athletic program. All of their sports have gotten better over the past 12 years, all of them. And that is quite the thing to do at one university when the entire sports program gets better. Not just one, not just the men's football team, not just the track team, but every one of their sports programs has improved over the past 12 years. That's a lot to say about a school. But shout out to Baylor pulling that off. I don't know, man, because Baylor is a very exciting school as well with the players, the recruiting, the style of play, the atmosphere, their swagger. I love their defense. They're fast, they're jumpy, they're tenacious, they're active. Everything you can think of, that school has it. But they stumble every damn November. That is the issue with me with Baylor. They just can't figure it out. It's like they're hung over from being at home on their break. Something's going on.
Yeah, I agree with that too. But if you look at it, their top passer, Gary Bohannon, left for USC, for University of Southern Florida after being beat out for the starting quarterback gig this offseason. And top target, take on what Thornton is in New England. R.J. Sneed, Colorado Buffalo, and Drew Estrada is at Houston are gone. And the Houston Texans are all gone. There's a tie among the leading returning 2021 receiver with one just catch, but Gavin Holmes. So if you look at that, if you look at what they lost and what they, on the return receivers, Gavin Holmes, the team started leaving receiver, and then this is an interesting thing. Somebody said balance, ball control, limit mistake, and repeat.
I like that quarterback that transferred due to competition. He took a beating on Twitter. I remember that whole incident happened. Someone made a comment about this transfer portal is creating an issue. And I think Steve Spurrier piggybacked on this as well and said it's taken away from you competing. It's taken away from the compete. You don't compete. If the competition level is too much for you, you can transfer now without any issues now. So at some point, when a kid gets out there that's a quarterback and it becomes public, the reason that they're transferring is due to the competition. Sometimes that can be like a negative thing, though. Now that can mess with your skill set as you go into the next team.
Yeah, and then quarterback Blake Shapen isn't all that big, but he can run a bit, and he's deadly accurate when he gets into a groove. Now the offense is his. So how do you see him shaping up? If he don't get in a groove, then he seems like he's going to be awful. But if he's in the groove, he's pretty accurate.
That type of analogy right there kind of reminds me of the quarterback from Wake Forest last year, where they must leave him alone. They have to let him go by himself because he deals with things differently as a quarterback. So maybe this young man his type of groove maybe needs to be more inspiring for his teammates to be the camaraderie of his teammates need to get him in the groove other than just himself.
Yeah, and then if you look at it, the back seven needs some reworking on the defensive side. I don't know how to get a defense to produce, and this one should be more than fine. It finished 4th in the Big 12 in total defense, 10th in the nation scoring defense, but it's really, really good at what it takes. And if you look at it too, is that back seven needs some rework. The Bears lost a ton of stars, talents, in the safety, and Jalen Petit and JT Woods, and linebacker Terrell Bernard, and quarterback Raleigh Textron. Just part of the talent they lost. Even with the loss, their depth is plenty of the option to fill. The defensive front seven will be a ride with the massive Skele Aka. In the middle of the line is a good guy to start with. Throw in second leading tackler Dalen Dole, and the linebacker core is a good pass and rush and Gabe Hall. And on the end this should be among the Big 12 front seven. So if you look at it too here. If you look at it too in this situation, do you see their defense as being stellar? So now the weak link is part of their offense. How did they get the offense matched with their defenses to propel them back into that top and try to get them into the college playoffs this season?
In college football, how the defense and offense hype each other up is totally different. In college, I think it really, really is a winning formula to have. If your defense is that good and your offense becomes a little stagnant out there, the defense can pump them up. The vibe is totally different. The culture is different. The way they celebrate on the defensive side in college football is outstanding. And these turnover chains out there, these gimmicks and these all these kind of antics that they do, I love it. And Baylor does a crazy antic when they do a turnover as well. And that can hype up the offense. When they see, hey, look where I'm giving you the ball at. Look at the opportunity I'm giving us to do right now. Let's get this. Let's score. Let's put some points on the board and let's go. That could work at a school like Baylor. That could help big time.
My question is, since you brought these little gimmick stuff in, let's pick it back off that a little bit here. Defense has all got the gimmicks. Why don't the offense have any kind of gimmicks?
I think the offensive celebration in the end zone is enough. I think anything more, we're going to get the zebras involved. They're going to get to throwing the handkerchief on the damn field.
Yeah, true. But if you look at their top 10 players, Galvin, the offensive tackle, the senior, he's 6'7", 310-pound veteran. He's got the right frame. He's athletic. Baylor style tackle. He earns. He's a left tackle. Earned first team All Big 12 honors and elite pass protector who can blast away for the run. The defensive tackle Ishigi Agi is 6'4", 350 pounds. Second team All 12 former. He's former LSU transfer and 24 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 6 total tackles for loss for last season. And then if you look at a linebacker galore after the one offensive player and tackles, the rest of his defense all the way down until we get to number 6 is Blake Sharpen is number 6 on the top 10 players. He's 6-0. He's 6 foot. 192, 62 out of 86, 72% pass completion, 596 yards, 5 TDs, no interception, and 59 yards rushing. That's halfway through the season last year.
I like that offensive lineman that you mentioned at 6'7", 310 pounds. Damn.
Yeah, Connor Glavin.
Hey, man, that's a freight train. I can throw behind that all damn day.
And he's athletic.
Yeah, 6'7", 310. Whoa, hold on now, buddy. Hey, swivel on the foot. That's a big boy, man.
And then if you look at Craig Williams, is their running back is at number 7. He's 5'8", 173, 32 carries for 247 yards, 3 TDs in 7 games. I mean, he's 5'8". You know, all these 5'8s and stuff like that. Look at Joe Morris for the New York Giants. He wasn't that tall. He was like 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah, that 5'8" to 5'10", them bowling balls that got that speed, that bolt, that hitch, them slot receivers, they are a problem in college football. A problem. Didn't BYU have a 5'7" running back?
I think so. Yeah.
Years ago? That kid was all over the damn place. They couldn't stop him. He almost had 400 yards rushing one afternoon.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, if you look,
find him to tackle him, couldn't find him.
I mean, if you look at this, I mean, technically, their schedule for Baylor, they got Albany on the 3rd. They go to BYU. They got Texas Tech coming there. They got to go to Iowa State. Oklahoma State comes to them. They have the open date on October 8th. Then they go to West Virginia. Then they got Kansas. At Texas Tech, at Oklahoma on November 5th.
Uh-oh.
And then they got November 12th is Kansas State. November 19th is TCU. And they finish off with Texas on November 26th. So from the 5th, all the month of November, they got tough games.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They stumble. November is their crucial point. Just like 5 to 6 teams that have a November issue. They can fucking win when they need to win to get them in that big game matchup.
Now, the question is, if they beat Oklahoma on November 5th, does that give them a boost for November? If they lose that first game in November, will they take that game and inherit them into where they're compelling them to the November late losing thing?
It all depends on where their standings are at, because we've known before we've had 2 schools to win a national championship that lost early. It was because it was early in the year. Alabama and Florida done it before. They lost early in the year, but still were able to get in that right matchup and win a national championship. So the early losses doesn't really it matters when it happens and who it is against. That's the only thing about November for a team like Baylor. That loss to Oklahoma, it could and it couldn't hurt. It depends on how the rest of the top 10 is looking when that game and that matchup happens.
Do you look at another 11-2 season?
What's that?
You see them another 11-2 season?
Yeah, I really can't see them doing it. I mean, Baylor have all the intangibles there to do 11 or more. They have it there. But it's just getting over that November schedule. November is that's their only issue. November is the only that's their toughest matchup is November. They get through November. It's now we're talking about Baylor in another light.
Yeah. So I mean, you got that. If you got that, looking at their schedule, another 11-2 season could be, or 12-2 season could be another one, or they could be 12-1. You see them getting 12-1.
Dedicate this season to Brittany Griner, and they could possibly get there. Dedicate the season to her.
Yeah.
Get them there. You need something, but I like the possibility of Baylor winning outright, going undefeated, is a conversation. Could they possibly do that? I've seen stranger shit happen.
I don't know. I don't see them going undefeated. I could see them going 13-1 or 12-2.
If they can get November, if they're undefeated going into November, then it becomes a conversation. And they've been playing good, not too many close matchups, a few blowouts here and there, handling the crucial fourth quarter, doing the right thing versus the wrong thing, minimizing the mistakes in the red zone. If they're doing the right things to win the game, yes. But it all depends on the approach to November.
Yeah, if you look at it too, now we're moving along. Head coach Matt Campbell at Iowa State Cyclones. The 7th year at Iowa State, he's 42-34 overall, 12th season overall. He's 77-48 in his coaching career. In his 12th season, he's if you had the 40, so he's pretty much got a good winning record there, a good barometer. If you look at it, he's almost over 30 games, over 500 in his career. If you look at it too, what does the Cyclone have to do to improve their 7-6 record overall and their 5-4 in the conference record?
Iowa State is one of those schools, man. They're so mysterious. I don't know who they are. What are they known for? I know they had since my man that had the short stint at quarterback in the NFL. That was it. They've had some great receivers. They had a few linebacking core situations. They got good consistency on the offensive line. But year in and year out, I don't know what is the identity of an Iowa State team. I don't know. 7 wins, I think that's pretty fair judgment for Iowa State being in the Big 12. I think that's fair to say that they're either going to win 6 games or 7 games. I think 8 is a town celebration and a ticket tape parade if Iowa State wins 8 games. It's one of those. Seneca Wallace, that was the guy I was looking for. That's the last time I've actually paid attention to an Iowa State team. But just watching them from highlights and reading articles about the program or scheming on something, I think those statements right there that I said pretty much is it. I mean, who is Iowa State? 6 or 7 wins? I could see that. No more than that.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing here. On one tidbit note, when I was doing some research here, the run of success of Matt Campbell is way off brand for Iowa State. And he had a phenomenal year in 2020 and just about all the key parts back. Yeah, but he ended up with a bowl loss. Yeah, there were only 7 wins for a team many thought was among the 10 best team in the country. So those 2 statements there, is Matt Campbell really way off of the Iowa State brand, or is he going to put Iowa State back into where it was back in 2020?
See, that's the thing. You want a coach to do better, but replicate a program from 2 years ago when that style of play is not even adaptable now. That's the confusing part to me. That style of play from 2020, I don't think that will work now, the way the offensive schemes are now headed in college football. I mean, everything is quick. It may be 35 to 45 schools that are stuck in the olden times of modern days of football. The rest are on this fast pace. And if you're on that olden time clock, you're going to see 70 points put up on you each and every week.
Yeah,
it's
I got
hard
that.
to go back to that. 2 years ago in football, it's slow. 2 years ago in football is slow. Watch some college football highlights later on today from 2020. And then watch highlights from a game from last year. It is freaking amazing how fast the game is now. 2 years ago, slow. Very slow-paced game. But now, man, no, you have to be ready. Your substitutions got to be ready. Your play calling got to be ready. Your communication skill set with your quarterback and offensive coordinator, your quarterback coach, all that has to be in sync.
Yeah, if you look at it too here, and this is some interesting too, is you can ask any Cyclone fan who lived through the 1990s, the entire decade without a winning seasons, or when two wins were the norm for a while in the 1960s, or when it was a big deal just to get a conference win for years and years. The 7-6 2021 season made it fifth straight winning campaign. The last time the program was able to do that was from 1923 to 1928, and it took just 4 victories each season to get there.
Jeez. Wow. See?
Do you have any
last year? They had a parade. If you did something in 2021 that is 2021 to 22 that is bringing up reference from 1923 to 1928, we have a problem, Houston. We have a problem. Fix this program. Fix it. But it's hard to fix something if you can't get everything you need and want.
Is this a rebuilding year for Iowa State?
In college football, you can't rebuild in a year. So you get to rebuild 2 years. I give it 2 years. 2 years.
Somebody agreed with you, too. You said this year is about consistency, about showing that Iowa State football will be a power player in the new Big 12 in 2023.
Yeah.
So.
The do-over is easy to do. That's easy. That's the easiest part. Explaining the do-over to your team, your coaches, and your players. That's easy. That's the easy part of this do-over, this new beginning, this new look, this new sensation. This is what we're going to do. We're still playing football. We still got to outscore the opponent in the allotted amount of time. We get all that, but we're going to do things a little bit different. A little bit different.
And now, if you look at this too, the offense, the defense was great last season, but the offense sputtered. Do they need to change their scheme because the downfield passing game wasn't good enough? The ground attack wasn't consistent enough, considering it had Bryce Hall to handle the work, and overall it had a strange way of not coming through in the clutch. Even though there was plenty of fourth quarter scoring, the 5th of the 6 losses were by a touchdown or less, and turnovers led to a 10-point loss to Iowa. Where did it go from there?
I'm working with my quarterback more directly. Instead of showing you what you did wrong, I'm going to show you everything you did right. We're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on everything you did right, and we're going to work from there. We're going to work on everything you did right and go from there. I'm not going to bring up the negative factor of last season on your quarterbacking play until the last minute. Then I'm going to show you, hey, we can also improve upon this. That's all you have to do. Show the greatness, then show the improvement factor and put them together. And now we have a film study to work on. Now we have an assignment. Now we have drills to do. Now we're building confidence as well and getting momentum with the team. Because if my quarterback is improving, they're seeing this, that he's working on what happened last year. Now we're building what, kids? Chemistry. And that works. Chemistry works to give you W's as well. But that's the one thing I would work on first. If we're trying to get better from that 6-7 to turn that 6-7 to a 7-8 or 8-9 win situation, we're going to start from there. Let's be simplicity works at its best when we both understand it. Yeah,
if you look at their top 10 is defense. Wide receiver comes in at number 2, Xavier Hutchinson, who is 6'3", 214 pounds, 147 catches, 1,758 yards, 12 yards per catch, 9 touchdowns in 2 seasons, first team all Big 12. So, they got a good wide receiver coming back. They got a defensive guy who's 6'4", 245 pounds, two times first team All Big 12 performer, followed up with 10.5 sacks in 2020 season with 11.5 sacks and 14 tackles for loss and 36 tackles overall with just 5 forced fumbles last season. He had 29 career sacks and 34 tackles for a loss with 9 forced fumbles in his 4 years so far. So his senior year, his capability, if he keeps performing like that, do you see him going high in the NFL draft?
Yeah. That's a strong possibility, moving that stock up a little bit. Yeah. I think when you get with a team that's not nationally known in the top 5 conversation and you're trying to go to the next level, yeah, you can put some work in because you know what you have to do. You know what you have to work on. The conversation is out there. So, yeah, I could see him making a good run at this year of moving his name on that draft board.
And our quarterback comes in the top 5. Hunter Deckers, quarterback sophomore. He's 6'3", 235 pounds. He's 25 out of 43, 58%, 311 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception, 73 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns in 2 seasons as a backup. He was the backup quarterback. So now he steps into the starting position.
Yeah, those are definitely backup numbers. Just fill the role. You protect the lead or don't let it get any worse. That's the role of a collegiate backup quarterback. Protect the lead or don't make it any worse. Now, if it's one of those situations you're going in the game in the first quarter after your quarterback has been knocked out of the game, now the backup role, the understudy really comes into play. Have you been paying attention? Did you do your homework? Are you understanding what's going on? That's the one thing about the backup quarterback. But now he's finally getting his shot. Now it comes again. Did you understand everything? Let's see what you got, kid. Let's see what you got. But I like those numbers. Those are definitely backup numbers. There's hope there. I like the completion percentage. That's something to pounce on top of, so to speak, and move forward with. But, yeah, I like those numbers that he has.
Yeah, I do too. Could he be another Stetson Bennett without the walk-on portion? He was he's recruited, but Stetson Bennett was the walk-on, but he came out and took Georgia where he needed to be. Could he be the next one coming from the backup position and moving his team forward?
Oh, slow down now. Let's ease into this now. Let's see if he can drive his car without anybody in the car with him first before we just let him start picking up people and driving them around. Let's just see how he handles the traffic by himself. Then we'll see how this is going to happen.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. So let's move right. Let's see here. Let's check their schedule out real quick in here, and then we'll move right along here. Their schedule. They got Missouri. They got Southeast Missouri first on September 3rd. They play at Iowa. Baylor's the big game on the 24th. Another big game is October 8th. October 15th, they got Texas at Texas. October 27th is Oklahoma, and then November 5th is West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and then Texas Christian on the 26th. So they've got a tough schedule coming after their open date also, and before their open date. I mean, the only weak teams I see is in Southeast Missouri and Ohio.
Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah. So
I wonder what is the true expectations when you have a football program and you're not known as a football program school. What is the actual expectations of that program when that happens? And the team goes out and does well and they win 7 games, they get in a bowl game. That's unreal to me. When you get these schools that get in bowl games, they're not even known for football. They just happen to be in a bowl game. Like, holy crap, here's $700,000 for your school for going to this bowl game. Whoa.
Well, I look at it this way. If you really want to know about it, yes, Carolina is known as a basketball school.
Soccer
and all that stuff. But the football, I mean, Lawrence Taylor putting UNC on the map in football. That was one of the big names. Julius Peppers and stuff like that. We started recently getting back into being a little bit more competitive in football and stuff like that. But before, like in the 80s and stuff, when we were winning 4 or 5 games and stuff like that, but when we had that winning season, as a true fan, we harp on it. I mean, that's the biggest height that we had. And I can understand something like Iowa, Iowa State and stuff like that and stuff, back in the 60s, having them 2 wins and stuff like that and coming up and you seem like you're on a roll. And then next thing you know, you get a bash. You could be back in reality and go back to a losing ways. And then you got to build it back up again and stuff like that. So as alumni and a true fan, that's gratitude. But if you get fans that trying to, want to jump on the Iowa bandwagon and stuff like that, they jump real quick if they go on a losing season. So,
yeah.
But I mean, the true fans, we're going to be there through thick and thins with our teams. That's just basically how it is.
Yeah, you're definitely right on that. Bandwagon is real. That is not a group. That is a real thing.
Yeah.
Bandwagon fans.
Yep. I mean, you see it in football, you see it in basketball, you see it in most all the sports. I mean, human nature is that people want to see winning games, winning teams. Some fans are not really loyal to their teams if they keep losing.
At all.
I stayed with North Carolina through the 80s. Everybody teased me at school.
No matter what.
Everybody at school teased me when I wore my North Carolina football. I had a North Carolina football shirt. I had a freaking North Carolina jersey. Everybody teased me when I walked around. Why are you walking around with a football jersey with North Carolina on it? And y'all are basketball school. You should be walking around with a basketball jersey. I said, well, I like all sports for my team. I'm not a bandwagon. I don't go around and jump around from teams. I'm sorry. I can't do that. I mean, I stick my team through thick and thin. I mean,
because of your style of clothing.
Yeah, they were just they were like, why are you wearing around the jersey? Your North Carolina jersey.
This is my team.
I said, it's my team. He said, well, why you got number 11 on it? Well, that was my favorite player at the time. He was the quarterback, what makes Carolina great, Like, dude. I said 3 things that make Carolina great: the school, the atmosphere, and still love my team. So I say how that is.
The weather and the tobacco.
Correct. But anyway, let's move on to Kansas real quick. We're not going to spend too much time because we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. We only got like 34 minutes left here. So let's talk about Kansas real quick here. Does Kansas have the right? Let's see. Head coach Lance Leopard, second season at Kansas, 2-10, 16th year overall. He's 148 and 49. The record is 2-10 overall and 1-8 in conference. Does Kansas compete this year?
Unless they run a full court press, hit all their 3-pointers. Oh, I'm talking about Kansas football team. My bad. Kansas football is awkward to watch. I watched a couple of their games last year. That's another. There is no attention to detail on that team. There's none. What I saw last year looked like just a lack of interest in the game. Coming off at 2-10, you keep it simple. Keep it simple. We're looking for 6 wins, guys. 6 wins. Keep it real simple. Don't overdo the process. Don't put the expectation ladder too high. And that is a such thing, kid. That really is. But make it reachable, achievable, goalable. But that's I'd see probably 4 or 5 wins, not 6, with Kansas. I don't see that really jumping off the paper at me when it comes to Kansas football team. Not saying that's a bad thing. This is just what I realized when I saw last year. I didn't see no big names in the transfer portal going to Kansas to help them get to a 7 or 8 win situation. No.
They did pull one person that seemed a little bit, Miles Kendrick, the transfer out of New Mexico, but they still have Jason Bean is still around, but is this going to be the Jalen Daniels show after he took over late in the season and became a real live since consistent passer for Kansas attack that hasn't known for a whole lot of stead lines as positions, and their problem is on the offensive line. How do they improve their offensive line?
Recruiting, film work, attention to detail. That's how you improve. And I would show them my quarterback each and every practice. You must protect him. You must protect him. If the offensive line can't give me protection, we're going to run the ball the whole game. We're going to run the ball the whole game. If you can't protect the quarterback, we're running the whole game. I'm not getting hurt today. No. And these college football players, they hit hard. They hit hard, real hard. And I'm not trying to be on nobody's real tape. So if I want to improve the offensive line, I'm going to get me some recruiting, or I'm talking about boosters. What can I do NIL-wise to get some attraction over here? Talk to me.
Yeah, if you look at it this way, too, the top 10 player, the second is Jalen Daniels, a quarterback junior. He's 6 foot, 218 pounds. He was 157 out of 269, 59% passing completion. 1,578 yards, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 103 yards rushing, and 6 TDs in 2 seasons. So,
is he a backup?
Yeah, he was a backup. He took over a lot of part of the season last year.
Okay, those are not good numbers.
No,
not good numbers at all. We need to work on that. How do you improve that quarterback position and you don't have anything to go above or to work with to make your quarterback better? That's what coaching really comes in at. How can I make my quarterback play better?
I mean, they got one. Yeah, one of their offensive linemen is 6'6", 315 pounds. He's a 2-year starter who took over the left tackle job last year. He's a 4-time All Big 12 honor roll mention.
6'6", 315. I like the size. If he's big in the hips and he quick, we can work with it. And he's the left tackle. I need that.
I mean, Kansas does have a favorable schedule. They got South Dakota, Missouri, Tulane, and then they got the tough competition starts at, September 10th. Missouri could be a tough competition. Tulane could be a tough competition for them. I think South Dakota could be a tough competition for them, too.
Yeah, I mean.
They really don't.
2 games last year. Yeah, everybody's going to be a tough competition.
And then Texas Tech, Iowa, they got to open on October 15th. Then TCU, Oklahoma State, Texas, Baylor, West Virginia, and Kansas.
That's good. I'm going to my first Mizzou game this year. I don't know which one I'm going to yet, but I'm just curious to see a Mizzou-Kansas football game already.
Are you?
That'll be different.
You going all the way up there?
It's not too far from here. It's about 2.5 hours, man. 2.5, 3 hours. It's not too far. It's not bad. It's an easy drive. And I know a lot of people that go to Mizzou games every weekend. So an invitation has been given to me to go to a Mizzou game this year. I don't know which one I'm going to go to, but that Kansas game would be interesting. Just because of the simple fact you got 2 basketball schools that play each other in basketball, and the rivalry is intense.
Yeah.
Now they play each other in football. I want to see what that crowd is like if I go to that game. But I don't know. Still there.
If you look at the other Kansas State, the Wildcats head coach Chris Kilman, his 4th year at Kansas State, 20-16, 10th year overall, 92-29. He has a overall Kansas State overall record was 8-5, and conference was 4-5.
Last time I paid attention to Kansas State, Michael Bishop was the quarterback, former New England Patriot quarterback, and they had an offensive scheme that kind of reminded me of Boise State's offensive scheme. They had that for a while. It was going. They were funneling in some good players, and then something just died off with K-State. So I don't know what to expect from them, but I like the record that they finished with last year to catapult on that, and now they can try to improve on that by possibly going for a 10-win season. They'll get a better bowl opportunity. But it's been a minute since I paid attention to Kansas State. They were an exciting program. I know the longest tenured coach, I know he's up out of there. But he had a winning program for a long time, and I used to love the relationship that he had with his players and his coaches as well, which you need in college football. You need that good relationship with your coaches because some of them will stay with you. They believe in the type of program that you're putting together. It can really help because these kids coming in now, they like to see that. The coach has been together a long time. Everybody coming in now just meeting each other. That's hard to do.
Yeah, that's true. And then you look at it, offensive line will have to rise up fast. Aaron Martinez, he might not be as passer Skylar Thompson was, but he's a veteran baller who threw for 8,500 yards and ran for over 2,300 yards with 35 scores in his 4 years at Nebraska. So what does that tell you about Aaron Martinez and if he's going to be any help to Kansas State.
Aaron Martinez, he did the smartest thing ever, getting the hell out of that Nebraska program. Talking about a shit show. I'm glad he got up out of there. So now he gets to be happy and get back to having fun playing a game that he loves. It's hard playing a sport that you love and passionate about for a team that doesn't give a damn. That is hard to do. That's hard because now they pulling away from your interest. Something that you love to do, now they don't care about it anymore, and you stuck in this program. So I'm glad he's out of their program to be somewhere where they love the game of football and they appreciate good football play.
Dude, their top 10 players are all offense. Top 3 is all offense. Deuce Vaughn, running back. He's 5'6", 176 pounds. He rushed for 234 yards on an average about 5.7 yards per carry with 25 touchdowns in 2 years, and caught 74 passes for 902 yards. Then Aaron Martinez is on number 2. Number 3 is McLeod Knowles. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, 79 catches for 1,142 yards, 14.5 yards per catch, 12 touchdowns, 28 9-point yards per kick return with 3 touchdowns and 37 tries. First team all Big 12. Cole Beebe, the offensive guard. He's a junior, 6'4", 322 pounds, third year as a starter after getting the call every game last year at left tackle, earning the first team all Big 12. Then the defense starts at number 5, and then it goes 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you get back to the wide receiver at 9, and then a punter at number 10.
A punter?
Yeah, it's a punter. He's 6'2", 203 pounds, 68 punts, 2,890 yards, 4 touchbacks, 21 fair catches, 30 inside of the 20 over the last 2 seasons. Honorable mention, all Big 12.
Yeah, some of these punters can really actually help you win a game on your defense, though, by that field position. That some teams have figured out how to use their punter in situations like that, but you only get that like probably less than 10% of the time in the college football season, where a punter is really doing that in a game and the defense picks up on it, really takes advantage of it. But staying with K-State, it seems as though the offense is the advantage on this team, but the defense not too far off.
Well, I read the wrong schedule for Kansas. That was actually Kansas State run, so they got the tough schedule at the end of the season. This is I'm gonna go back and run the Kansas real quick. Their schedule. They start off with Tennessee Tech. Kansas does. West Virginia on the 10th. Houston on the 17th. They got Duke coming to there. They got Iowa State, TCU, Oklahoma, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Texas, and K-State. So they got a tough game also at the end of the schedule.
They don't play Mizzou.
No, that was Kansas State. They play Southeast. Yeah, they play Southeast Missouri.
Okay.
So that was my mistake. I read the wrong one. Let's move on to Oklahoma real quick here. We're going to go through Oklahoma.
Norman.
All right. Let's read here. Brent Venables, his first year as a head coach. Last year's season was 11-2, 7-2 under Lincoln Riley his last season there. What does Brent Venables bring to this thing besides the passion of college football and his sideline holder? Got to have somebody to hold him back. Is it going to be? Does he have 2 holders this year since he's a head coach?
I can see that. I can really see that. I think he brings a different type of excitement to Oklahoma. I went to Oklahoma. I've been to Oklahoma twice, and the times I was there, I talked to a few people about this whole situation with Lincoln Riley leaving and Venables coming in, and the excitement is there. They really. That they don't feel like they were backstabbed or anything like that. They're really looking forward to the opportunity of this type of excitement coming in Oklahoma. I think it's going to be something fun to see and watch. I think what he brings to the table kind of fits the personality of an Oklahoma Sooners fan and the Norman fan base.
Yeah, if you look at it too, he mentioned something about like the whole generation of Oklahoma fans who have known nothing but Bob Stoops, Lincoln Riley as the head coaches of their program. But no, this is not the norm. There was a stretch at the legendary Barry Switzer era when Oklahoma football took a little bit of a break. There was some shifts in the philosophy where it was the year of dabbing with Howard Schnellenberger, and then in 1999 came with the unknown Stoops guy, follow up in 2017 by his relative unknown Lincoln Riley. So now you have unknown here. They kind of greened us with Green Bay Packer twist, with a Green Bay Packer fan who thinks quarterbacks are supposed to play like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Oklahoma, man, that is a very historical program in the days of Barry Switzer and my man that really beautified, electrified the quarterback position, Jamel Holloway, back in the day. But this program now, this new direction is the fan bases letting us know how they really feel after the whole Lincoln Riley situation. I don't think there's going to be too much taken away off of the football program itself. I don't think too much is going to be lost as far as games. I don't see an undefeated stretch coming, but I think time will tell on this season on how the players respond and the fan base response. I say the first 6 games of the season. We'll know how that team is headed then.
And if you look at it too, Vin Venables presents more of a nod to a pivot with Stoops than a tweak with Riley. Stoops came into OU as a hot shot young defensive coach, and he all but turned the offense around to Mike Lynch, at least for the first year, and the air raid style that set the tone early on. The O was great, but the Sooners won the national title in 2020 with a jaw-breaking defense.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get back to the Stoops side where the defenses are strong and the offense has to maintain.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. But again, they have that pivotal matchup, whether it's against OK State, whether it's against who else they have problems with sometimes? Texas Tech. It's those matchups right there. They just turn into a different program. I don't know if that was the more challenging thing that Lincoln Riley faced. Did that on purpose to try to get something out of his players? Or was that an actual true stumble when they face matchups like that?
Now, if you look at it here, the top 10 players, Marvin Mims, wide receiver junior, he's 5'11", 179 pounds. He's the team's top target over the last 2 seasons with 37 catches, 610 yards, 9 touchdowns, second team All-American, all of Big 12 team with 32 catches for 700 yards and 5 scores, averaging 22 per catch. He was honorable mention all Big 12 campaign. And then this is the interesting one here. Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback, the transfer out of USC. He's 6 foot, 205, missed most of last year with injuries. He's 554 out of 913, 61% pass completions, 8,337 yards and 17 TDs, 14 interceptions, 167 carries for 372 yards and 8 touchdowns in 3 seasons at UCF. He's 2-time second team All-American Athletic Conference. So now what do you think about Dylan Gabriel going from UCF to Oklahoma to a big stage, from a small stage to a big stage?
I don't think that running, he should do that. Them running numbers do not sound good at all. I don't think running is in his favor.
No.
But UCF he came from, right?
Yeah.
UCF program changed totally the offensive scheme, the defensive scheme. They went more on a pro level than a collegiate level with their style of play, a little advanced down there. And I like that. Those guys that come out of that program are doing very, very well in the next level. And a lot of pro scouts have said that as well. Whatever they're doing down there at University of Central Florida seems to be working when it comes to these pro scouts and these players that have been coming out of there. I think the transition will be well, because you got a coach who's coming in to implement a new program, and you got a player that's coming in there from another program into your program. So I think now he's learning what everybody else is learning. He's not going to be behind, not going to be ahead. But the football IQ is definitely one thing to notice and pay attention to.
But their schedule looks like the first 2 games are probably going to be easy. UTEP and Keene State. They go to Nebraska up in Lincoln on the 17th. Then Kenny State comes there. Then they go to Texas Christian. Then they go to Dallas to the rival game against Texas. Then they got a little slow break in Kansas. Then the open date. Then they got Iowa State, Baylor, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech at the end of the season.
Yeah, they can definitely start off hot the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
They can cause an uproar. They can possibly get the name because the first 4 games they're going to mention Lincoln Riley. Probably the over/under is going to be 20. The first 4 games of the year for sure. Every time Oklahoma plays, they're going to mention Lincoln Riley, and they stop that. They start off 6-0 or 7-0. They're going to stop the name drop.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to Oklahoma State. The Cowboys, Mike Gundy is 149 at 69, 18 years at Oklahoma State, 18th year overall, 100 is same record. Last year was 12-2. Conference record was 8-1. What do we see from Oklahoma State this year?
Many more players wearing a mullet. Love Gundy, and I love him. Business in the front, partying in the back, baby. Get on board and jump on the train because we're going to take these boys here on another ride this year, OK State. They're fun to watch. Fun to watch. But they run into the same program, Ray. They do the same thing. They stumble in November. They're one of them teams as well. Love the program. Love the way he talks to his players. I love the way how he gives them an opportunity to coach themselves in the game, figure it out for themselves. I like how he does that in the middle of a game. I love that.
Yeah, if you look at it too, they're one of their top 10 players is the number one guy is Spencer Sanders, the quarterback. He goes ahead and puts in on any one of about the Oklahoma State defensive ends is a spot, but several other stars appears ready to step up. But the star of the show is the first team all Big 12 quarterback. Sanders threw for 30 touchdown passes, ran for 800 yards, 4 touchdowns in the first 2 seasons, and then he took it up a few notch. There might have a few more or many interceptions, bad times, but he completes 62% of his passes. Third straight season, 2,839 yards, 20 touchdowns with 12 interceptions. He also ran for 668 yards.
See, that's what you call doing your job. He's doing his job by 66% completion. I like that.
But you ready for this? After him becomes the defensive ends, people. Here you go. Number 2, defensive end, Brock Marin. Number 3, Oliver, defensive end, sophomore. Tyler Lacey, defensive end, senior is the number 4 guy. Number 5 is Tracy Ford, defensive end, junior. Then we get back to the wide receiver in number 6. And Brandon Priestley, wide receiver. Then you look at Jason Taylor, safety, top 7. Offensive line at number 8 comes in, and Hunter Woodward. Dominique Richards, the running back, comes in at number 9. Jamar Muhammad, cornerback. So their top 10 is dominated by their defense. So they're gonna have a stellar defense, but without it pull them to improve to go to at least go 12-1 overall.
Yeah, I can see that. And I like their defense. They got another one of those exciting defenses. They fly around the ball. Wherever that ball is at, it's always about 4 or 5 players ready to attack the ball. And I love defenses like that because something is going to happen. And if that ball gets loose, it's possibly going to be a pick 6. Shake it on down. Shake it on down. Shake it on down.
All right, if you look at their schedule, you got Central Michigan on the 3rd. Arizona State will come in on the 10th. Then they go to Arkansas. Then Arkansas, Blind Buff. The first 3 games are at home. Then this is another team that gets a open break on September 24th.
That's an early homecoming.
And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They got 9 games on the road. 9 games after that. Picked up out of the open day to get an extra week to play Baylor. At Baylor. Then they go to Texas Tech. Now Texas Tech comes to them, and then they go to Texas Christian, Texas at home, K-State at Manhattan. Then they're actually going to go to back-to-back games in Kansas, so they might as well just go from Kansas State to Kansas because that's who they play, And then you got Iowa State, Oklahoma, and West Virginia to finish out the season. So, do you think they improve on what they did this year?
12-1.
Yeah.
I could see They could probably go the same record. I can see the same record being performed 12-1 because I don't think they can get over that echelon of getting through November undefeated.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to Texas Christian University. This is the one.
Frogs.
This is the one I wanted to get to. The new head coach, Sonny Dykes, first year at TCU, 12th year overall, he's 71-63. The record overall was 5-7, conference 3-6. We don't see sweaty pants no more on the sideline. We see the new regime. How does Sonny Dykes continue the Horned Frog success?
Oh, man. The Horned Frogs, another exciting team. Special teams and offensive schemes with that team, man. That's what they have shown to me, that they really are fast on offense. And him bringing in there his coaching philosophy and style is going to be fun to watch. And to build off what they did last year, what was their record last year? They
were dismal under Patterson. They were 5-7 overall, 3-6 in conference play.
Yeah, Patterson kind of went out the wrong way. That was I didn't like that exit strategy because it's a good football program. Just something happened with the communication factor. If they can get that locker room back, gain the players' attention, this could be a team that could possibly turn that around and get 7 or 8 wins out of this season.
Yeah, they could be solid. You know, if you look at it too, 1996, 1997 was the last time TCU has back-to-back losing season. There are too many good things in place for that to happen now. But under Patterson, TCU went 5-6 in 2004. To 2000 to 11-1 in 2005. It went from 4-8 in 2013 to 12-1 in 2014, and 67 in 2016 to 11-3 in 2017. So now, do they do back-to-back losing season since they changed over to Sonny Dykes?
Yeah, it could. Yeah, he had to go. He had to bring in a new captain. A new philosophy, a new way of winning, a new way of attacking football. And we're going to see if this thing here works to get us out of this slump that we're in. But I say like a 6-7 would be pretty cool to have to start off with. If they can get to a 6-7, now we're on the right path. We're on the right path.
Yeah, it's gonna be all on Mac Duggan, the quarterback, the senior. He's 6'2", 214 pounds, 472 out of 806, 59% passing, 5,920 yards, 41 touchdowns, 20 interceptions, 351 carries for 1,433 yards and 19 touchdowns in 3 seasons. So what do you think about the quarterback?
I need to see those completion numbers go up a little bit. That's a little bit down right there. A little bit down. I want to see better numbers from you right there on that one. But other than that, there is consistency there. I like the 28 touchdowns. I mean, and the 20 picks. That's not bad. I like that. It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. But I want to work on that accuracy a little bit better.
He's a good running. He's also got 2 wide receivers on this top 10 list. Quentin Johnson, wide receiver. He's a junior. And then you got wide receiver D winners. And Darius Davis, wide receiver / kick return. He's a senior. So you got 2 seniors on that. And then rest of it is the defense and running back and Kendrick Miller. He's 6 foot, 218 pounds, 137 carries, 1,011 yards rushing. So they got to get back. He only scored 9 times and he only catch for 13 catches, 113 yards with 1 touchdown in 2 seasons.
Damn, do they know he in the game? Hey, I'm over here, fellas. Throw the ball.
Yeah, so I mean that's look at the breakdown. Let's look at TCU's schedule real quick here and see if it's favorable. They opened up at Colorado, then they got some team named Churlington State. Never heard of them. On September 10th, they got another open date in September 17th. So they play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They play 10 straight games after their open date. But they play South Alabama. They play Oklahoma at Kansas. Oklahoma State's at home. Kansas State's at home. They go to West Virginia. Texas Tech's at home. They go to Texas. They go to Baylor. And then Iowa State finishes up there at home with them. So do you see them getting a winning record this year out of that schedule?
No. Sorry, fellas. Just want to be real with y'all. I don't think we're getting a bowl game this year, but we're going to have fun this year.
Yeah, but you know one thing about it is Texas Tech's going to save money on shirts and pants. You don't have to supply the sweaty pants guy no more. So they can put their budget somewhere else.
Oh man!
But yeah, let's move on to Texas. Head coach Steve Sarkisian, second year at Texas. He's 5-7. 9th year overall, he's 51-42. It's 5-7, 3-6 conference play. Do you see Texas improving this year?
Oh man, it's hard for me to put Steve in a different perspective than I have him after the debacle what happened at USC. I just don't like the way that was handled. I don't like the way the situation at Alabama was handled with him. There's something about him that has changed. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's if he's a narcissist. I can't figure it out why there's just something bothering me about Steve. I don't know what it is. Don't know what, but he has changed. Something happened. I don't know what it was. Something happened. I'm not talking about the time he walked out the booth on the field. Not talking about what happened with the allegations of him and Nick Saban and their relationship. But Steve is totally different. I want the real Steve to show up. That one that loved football, was exciting to watch, have fun with the offensive side of the ball when he was involved with the offensive coordinator position or offensive coach. It's just something's going on. I think he wants to be the center of attention and look at me, other than realizing that he is a head football coach in college football. He's not the spokesman for college football, but he's a college football coach. And I think when that sinks into his head that I'm not a player anymore, I'm not the big man on campus, let me do my coaching job, I think then it'll settle in and settle down. I don't think it's going to happen this year. It's still too early to tell on which Steve this is.
And I agree with you too, but you know, my question to the whole thing is he, because now if you look in the wings, he won the Archie Manning sweepstakes, you know, too. So I mean, is that part of it too? His cockiness now that you seen a little bit more swagger with it.
He got his chest out and shit. You know, he wearing tighter shorts. You know, something's going on with Steve. I don't know. And I'm still not happy about that Archie situation going to Texas, because I had him all pinned in to go to the WV, to go to West Virginia. But somehow.
Yeah. And if you look at it too, they also got the Ohio State transfer, and Quentin Witters decided to transfer there from Ohio State. It should be anything less than expected program. Do you see, but still, if you look at their top 10 players coming back, they still got that one good running back, BJ Robertson, who got injured in that Oklahoma game, which allowed Oklahoma to come back, because that changed the whole tide of that ball game.
Good call. Good point. Yeah, he has a lot to prove. Coming back from injury, as we talked about earlier in the show about coming back from injuries, what are you trying to prove? Well, he has a lot to prove. You got a chip on his shoulder, the way that his season ended, the way that game ended, and the way the whole coaching has shook up in the Big 12. A lot to prove. A lot to prove. Kids that stay there and maintain, don't want to leave the program. They had nothing against the coach, but hey, I'm staying here, staying put. I'm not leaving. I'm working on something. So I'm with this kid coming back from that injury.
Yeah, last year first year he was a freshman. He was 221 pounds, 6 foot. He's 703 yards and 4 scores, 15 passes for 196. Honorable mention all Big 12 his freshman year. Last year he took it a step forward, ripping all 5 100-yard games in first 6 games. Ran for 1,127 yards in all, averaging 5.8 yards per carry and 11 touchdowns, and caught 26 passes with 295 yards and 4 touchdowns in 10 games before missing the final 2 games. Hurt. He earned the first team all Big 12 honors as a BJ. And then they got a good wide receiver too, in Xavier Worthy, who's 6'1", 183 yards, 62 catches, but 981 yards, 15.8 yards per catch, 12 touchdown, first team All-American. And then when I said the quarterback, he transferred out of Ohio State, 6'2", 205 pounds.
Yeah, he was another one that couldn't stand the competition and left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he knew the Ohio State is different. So we knew he was going to leave. We knew that. But that's a good landing spot for him as Texas, though. Good landing spot for him.
Yeah, and they got pretty much offensive line at number 9, and they got a safety at number 10 in their outlook, and then they got a wide receiver at 8, a running back at 7, and then your linebacker is 6, 5, and 4 as your defensive player. So they got pretty good style teams, stuff like that. Let's take a quick look at theirs. Then we're going to go in a little bit of overtime. We still got 2 more teams, I think, left to do. So they got a federal game on the 3rd of September, on the 3rd, ULM will come there. Alabama now. Alabama comes to Austin. In Austin, or is it going to be in Jerry World?
It probably is Jerry World.
No, I think it's in Austin because it's in Austin. Yeah, they're going. Alabama will go to Austin here. Test right off the bat. What do you think B.J. Robinson will do against Alabama's defense?
Nothing. That's the thing. When players play against Alabama, they don't have good games. They don't have a spectacular breakout game. None of that's going to happen. No.
Does it get over 100 yards rushing?
No.
You sure?
No. Yeah. I'm not buying nothing that Nick Saban has said about this reverse psychology shit, that was a rebuilding year. Man, please stop, Nick. Stop. Just stop doing that. Look, you're pretty, Nick. You're pretty. Everybody, stop. He does this every year. We know what you have down there. We know. We're good. We understand it. But he's going to beat the hell out of Texas.
Okay, and then they got UTSA on the 17th. Then they got Texas Tech at Texas Tech, and then they go to West Virginia because they're Oklahoma is in Dallas. Iowa State is there. So basically, they don't leave the state of Texas at all until they go to Oklahoma State. They play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in Texas. 7 games in Texas. Then they go on the road. I'm sorry, they go out of Texas after Oklahoma game. They play Iowa State. Now Iowa State comes to Texas. They play in Austin, so that's right. Oklahoma State is the first road game after that. Then they get an open date on the 29th. Then they go to Kansas. So they play 1, 2. They play 3 games out of the state of Texas.
They travel agent.
So, I mean, that's pretty good. They got a good playing in the state of Texas. You know, that might help them out a little bit too. So, on that. So let's go ahead and move on. We got Texas Tech and West Virginia to go. Let's do Texas Tech. What do you see out of Texas Tech coming up here? Let's take a look. Their head coach is Joey McGuire, first year at Texas Tech. He's that's his first stint as a head coach. He has no record as a head coach yet. This is his first extent. He's taking a team that was 7-6 and 3-6 in conference play. What do you see out of Texas Tech this year? We don't know anything about Joey McGuire as a head coach because he has no sample of him being a head coach. So,
I'm transferring. I'm leaving. I'm out of there. Oh, hell no. I'm not going through this. You giving me somebody that never done this before at this level? Oh, no. They're going to take a step back. They probably get 5 wins this year.
5 wins?
No bowling for Texas Tech.
I don't know what his offensive scheme is, anything like that, because this is his first year as head coach. Like we say, we don't have any example here. If you look at it, still basically, if you look at their schedule, they got Ole Miss in Houston on the September 1st. They play Lamar. They play Houston at home. They got to go to Oklahoma State. West Virginia comes there. Open date on October 6th. 11th is at TCU. Kansas. Then they go on the road to Iowa State. Then they got Oklahoma at home. Texas at home. At Kansas State and at Baylor. So
I got 2 wins already.
You got two wins out of that, all that?
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you on that too. I mean, I don't know. I just can't see what his offensive philosophy is going to be, you know?
If he was a jump off the page coach who come in there with a rep, regardless if he's ever coached before, we would know.
Right.
But yeah, he impressed somebody, and they try to put the program in a new direction. The Red Raiders are going in a new direction.
And their top 10 players don't even scare me. I mean, they just don't scare me. I mean, basically, they really don't have anything that he can build off of.
Right.
I mean, it says income Joey McGuire takes over as a new head coach, representing the first time since hiring Tommy Tuberville at the program went with a defensive-minded head coach. He's a defensive-minded head coach, so the defense will probably be good. But what kind of thing? Who's going to put around for his offense? And that's got to be the key for that one. So I don't see too much of Red Raider fans. I'm sorry, but I don't see too much of them doing anything this year. Like I said, it'll probably be about 2 wins.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Mountaineers in West Virginia. Where do you see West Virginia?
WV, West Virginia.
So they lost according to you, they lost the big man, Archie Manning, in the recruiting sweepstakes. The head coach is Neil Brown. He's 17-18, 4th year at West Virginia, 8th year overall, 52-34. Last year's record was 6-7 and 4-5 in conference play. Did they improve their record this year?
You said it was 6-7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a repeat performance, another 6-7 season. There's nothing blowing me off the table, off the pages about West Virginia football team. I was looking ahead in the future about them because I know Manning would have brought more with him. I know there's a teammate with him, and there's a kid that's coming with him that he met at camp a few years back that became real good friends. So if you get in Manning, you're probably getting anywhere from 4 to 6 players that are coming with him.
Right.
So that was my big thing on the WV. But I like the program. The program is definitely fun to watch. And the fan base, I can't say enough about it. They just really they're fun. You know, you have some collegiate programs out there, the fan base they just shit show. But this West Virginia fan base, man, they are fun, Ray. They are a lot of damn fun. I mean, if you ever get a chance to go to a game.
I've been a couple times.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And then Neil Brown, the head coach, hasn't been able to make this work quite yet, but the production and wins are appearing. But he was great at Troy with 3 straight 10-win seasons before coming to Morgantown. The young rising star had to do some tweaking. The team went to 2 bowl games in his 3 seasons, and now comes to the pivot, his 4th season. So I mean,
yeah, that's it though. That 4th year for a college coach, we're looking at your progress report, your report card. We're interviewing people. We're looking at videotape footage. We're listening to your phone calls. Because if we're going to go past that 4th year, we need to figure out what have we done the first 4 years. Is this either worth it or not?
But he did make some stride with the coaching. Enter offensive coordinator Greg Harrell. Here comes the big passing attack now. This might be the year West Virginia can break through and become a bigger factor in the Big 12 title chase.
Yep.
So he upgraded that. If you look at their top 10 thing, the quarterback, this is what you need to be. Your quarterback should be number 1 on your top 10 players. JT Daniels, quarterback junior. He's 6'2", 226 pounds. He's a superstar recruit from USC. Completed 64% of his passes for 2,887 yards with 15 touchdowns and 11 interceptions just over a season before suffering a knee injury.
So you got a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder because he transferred, because Lincoln got his boy.
No, hold on. But after he transferred out of UCF, he went to Georgia, where he hit 70% of his passes and averaged over 9 yards per pass with 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in 9 games before getting hurt. So if he's healthy, he's got a good passing skills. He can potentially be the best quarterback in the Big 12.
Oh, man. You said the key word, if he can stay healthy. That's a big if with the college quarterback. That's a big if. Once it starts, that pattern starts, man. It's hard to get out of that cycle. Hard to get out of it.
Yeah, and they got Dante Stills, the defensive tackle. He's a senior, 3 times all Big 12 pass rusher. He's 6'4", 285 pound size. Terrific quickness and making 111 tackles with 20 sacks and 44 tackles for loss with 3 forced fumbles on 1 interception and 1 fumble recovery in 4 seasons. So let's take a look at their schedule here and see if they got a little bit of a favorable schedule. They started right off with 2 Power 5 conference. 1 Pitt at Pitt. They got to go to Pitt on September 1st. Now that's the lower tiers Power 5 out of the Big 12. They got Kansas on September 10th. Towson comes on September 17th. Then they go play another ACC team at another ACC team stadium at Lane Stadium, Virginia Tech. The Sandman will be rocking in that game. So after that game, they go to Texas on October 1st. Then they get a bye week, and then Baylor comes to them. They go to Texas Tech. Texas Christian comes to them. Iowa State they got to go to. Oklahoma, Kansas comes to West Virginia, and then they add Oklahoma State the last game of the season.
Yeah,
so how many wins? You got 6?
Yeah, I counted 6 wins.
So they beat Kansas, Towson. They beat Texas Tech, Texas Christian, and Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
That's your 6 wins? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got one more. How about you saying they beat Kansas State then?
Yeah, it was Kansas and Kansas State, yeah.
Yep. All right. That's your 6 wins. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it'll be 6 and 6.
That's still bowling, though.
Yeah, it's still bowling, man. So, we're getting back in the swing of things in this college football breakdown season. We had to go into overtime. We had to go to the first overtime to get through the things. We have a love our team to talk about in the Pac-12 and stuff like that. So we won't, if the show happens, if it doesn't happen next week, we'll be back to talk about the Big 12. Now the Big 10 and the ACC and the SEC part will be the big finish out the Power 5 conference. So we'll take a break, we'll take it there. We might just stick one team in there. We might do the Big 10 and do one of the small conference teams conference and with that one so we can keep the ACC and the Big 12 and SEC together because I got some interesting stuff to talk about the ACC and SEC too and the Big 10 really. So we're going to talk all about that next week. This has been it. So you got big plans for this rest of the weekend?
No, man. Just going to watch him finish up The Captain, the documentary about Derek Jeter, and finish up writing up my college football show, which I'm doing in 2 weeks. I'm doing mine. And
okay.
Chill day.
Big chill day, huh?
Yeah. What about you?
I'm probably going to go out in Uber for a little while and get some money.
Gotcha.
Basically, so I got to make some money. I got to pay some bills to pay and stuff like that. So, but it's been a great show and all that. If we're not back next week, you got your Big 5, huh? So, this has been Ray and Dre. This has been the College Breakdown. Hope y'all have a good weekend.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.